Good morning, good afternoon, depending on what time zone you are in. It is Friday, September 20th, and I am Jessica for Justice. I appreciate all y'all being here and I appreciate your patience. My computer, I think, is dying. Uh, I had, it wouldn't power on, and then I had a kernel panic, and then my screen was purple. So, oh, there's my zit from yesterday. I Thankfully, one of my friends that has a bunch of used uh, Macs, she just sent me one yesterday. So I have a computer that'll be here on Tuesday that's way better than the one that I have. The one that I have is, I think, from 2016. Let me look. Let me see what year this computer is. So this computer is a 13-inch 2016 MacBook Pro. I only have 8 gigs of RAM in this, so if you know computers, that's really not that much, especially now. So my friend is sending me a 2018 MacBook Pro with 32 gigs of RAM and a 2.9 i9 Intel processor, which isn't that great compared to the new processors, but I don't care because it's better than what I have. My computer keeps kernel panicking with the display, and I don't know why. So, regardless, it's free. Whatever she's sending me, it's free. It's in the mail. So UPS, please take good care of that computer because I really need it. So let's cross our fingers that that goes well because I don't know how much longer this one's gonna last. It took me 20 minutes to get it on. Uh, and I figured out that none of my, so I have a lot of screwdrivers. And I have a lot of the ones that I don't remember what they're called, torque maybe. Uh, I have a lot of them, and not one of them fit the screws of my MacBook Pro. I have so many. This one's for the iPhone. Uh, this I can open my iPhone, no problem. But all of these that are the same type of screw for my computer are the wrong size, and I just found that out today because I was ready to open it up, take the battery out, do all sorts of stuff, but I did an SMC reset and I got it to power on, but then the display was purple, it kernel panicked, and I rebooted it, and it's working for now. So let's cross our fingers because there's a lot of shit that's happened in the last few days. If you all watch the news, I know you know there's so much stuff. There's stuff going on with Diddy. A sheriff killed a judge, and not a deputy, like the literal sheriff killed a judge in chambers. There's a lot happening. A teacher had a baby with a student. So let me open my playlist. Ah, I don't need you, big screen. Go back. Go back. Yeah, and who is mean to you, Tash? Because I'm not okay with people being mean. It just, there's there's no reason for anybody to take cases personal. I don't understand it because we may agree or disagree with cases. I definitely get, you know, emotional when it comes to homicide cases, and I'm generally on the side of the victim, but I'm not going to argue with someone over what they think about a case because some people think some wild and crazy shit. We don't have to agree, that's fine, but I'm definitely not going to argue with anybody about it. All right, YouTube, calm down. Rewind. All right. So, they also found a body that they found a body in Kentucky when they were looking for Joseph Couch. I have a lot of Diddy videos. I'll have to figure out which ones I want to play because I saved a bunch. Yeah, they found the Kentucky shooter. I honestly assumed that that's what how they were going to find him uh, because I didn't think that he was going to survive that. South Carolina is having their first execution today in 13 years. The Coast Guard has released more videos of the Titan. The Titan was that submarine that exploded. Um, Copper being stolen, of course. Yeah, I try to stay away from the Karen Reed trial. I don't even want to mention names, anything Karen Reed. But yeah, new prosecutor in the Karen Reed trial. So we're going to start out with the Kentucky State Police talking about the sheriff that shot and killed a judge in chambers, which is crazy. And we're not, like I said, we're not talking about deputies. We're talking about the literal sheriff of the county, the person that was elected to run the sheriff's department in the county, shot and killed a judge.
First name Matt, M-A-T-T, last name Gayhart, G-A-Y-H-E-A-R-T, title Trooper with Kentucky State Police posted in Hazard.
Ready for your step?
Okay, as of right now, Kentucky State Police is still ongoing in the investigation of the shooting that took place here in Letcher County earlier this date. At this time, we can confirm that the district judge was shot and unfortunately has passed away. So as of right now, that's the new information that we have. Again, this is still an isolated incident. We do have an arrest that was made. Hopefully have that information for you guys as we move forward. As of right now, that's all I have. But it is an isolated incident. There is no threat to the public right now.
Are you able to share names at this point?
At this time, that is the only name that we can share as we move forward and get a little more information. Hopefully we can go ahead and relay that to you guys.
Are you able to share exactly what time it happened and where in the courthouse it happened?
It did take place inside the courthouse. As far as the definitive time, I don't have that at hand or ready. That is something that I can definitely get you later on.
Can you talk a little about the community response to what's happened here today?
Anytime a situation like this takes place, especially in a small town, it shakes the very foundation of what the town is, and this is no different. We're just hoping that it's a bad situation, that we can resolve it as quickly as possible and start that process forward.
We saw the family up there. I'm sure you've been speaking to them as well. Any words to them during this time as soon as that's done?
And we'll stand by and wait for that. Okay, if you'll kind of ask that one more time.
We saw the family up there, obviously very upset about everything that's happening right now. Do you have any words to them during this time?
At this time, we're conducting the investigation. We're doing the best job that we can. Our hearts go out to everybody that was involved and affected by this.
Is there anything you can share about a motive yet?
As far as the motive, it's still very early stages of this investigation, and that's questions that we still have at this time that we're still trying to figure out. So hopefully as the days move forward, that's information that we'll be able to find out as well.
I'm sure it's not sure right now, but any idea when we can expect the next update?
Just as soon as I can gather enough information. This is still, again, very early on in the investigation. So as soon as I get more information, I'll definitely relay it to you guys.
Is there anyone else hurt in this altercation?
At this time, I'm not for sure. We don't have any reports of any other injuries at this time, so.
I think we're good.
Was there anyone that witnessed this happen?
There is several witnesses, which adds to the complexity of the investigation, which means, detectives will have to interview each and every witness that was present.
Yeah, so I kind of love that trooper. Yeah, his voice is amazing. Yeah, Kentucky. Yeah, is that trooper single? Because I want to talk to him. Yeah, he's 1,000% a trooper. He is like super uber trooper. So today show did release an update this morning that's a couple minutes long. Dizzy said there's a rumor that the judge was sleeping with the sheriff's underage daughter. I don't know if that's true. Let's see what the Today Show says. Let's see if they touch on some of that. Because this
An
video is...
uncommon
Oh,
sight
God.
outside the courthouse
This
in Letcher
video...
County, Kentucky.
Hold
Crime
on.
scene tape following
I wasn't ready.
crime scene
I
tape.
wasn't ready.
An uncommon sight outside the courthouse in Letcher County, Kentucky.
Anyway, so, yeah. I don't condone violence, but if that's true, I can't say that I blame the sheriff. But yeah, so as I was saying, the Today Show released this video about 5 hours ago. And also, I want everybody to remember that
This program contains subject matter and language that may be disturbing to some viewers. Viewer discretion is advised.
viewer discretion is always advised with the topics that are covered here. Most of the time, it is not good. There's a lot of horrible things in this world, and we're going to be discussing those. So just remember the graphic content. I don't know what's going to come out today, but just be prepared for that. I may have stolen that announcement from from a show. Yeah, I was watching a TV show and I'm like, I need that. I think those few seconds will be okay and I won't get copyrighted, but we'll see.
An uncommon sight outside the courthouse in Letcher County, Kentucky. Crime scene tape following a stunning tragedy. Longtime Judge Kevin Mullins found Thursday shot and killed inside his own chambers, with local Sheriff Mickey Steins charged with the murder. State police say gunshots followed an argument inside the courthouse. Police say the sheriff, who turned himself in, is now facing 1 count of first-degree murder. Investigators unable to offer an explanation or motive.
That's questions that we're still trying to get answers to, what led up to the actual shooting itself and the moments prior to.
Judge Mullins was appointed in 2009 after serving almost a decade as a prosecutor and appeared passionate about helping those struggling with drug addiction.
And they're just good people, but I guess bad things can happen to good people.
With the motive unclear, Sheriff Steins was cited as a defendant in a 2022 lawsuit about a deputy accused of using the judge's chambers while demanding sexual favors from an inmate. Steins is accused of not properly training that deputy, who was later fired. According to court documents, Steins was scheduled to testify in a deposition on Monday. The murder comes on the heels of a string of shocking violence against judges.
In accordance with the laws of the state of
This dramatic video shows the moment earlier this year that a defendant leaped over a bench to attack a judge in Las Vegas. On Thursday in Alaska, a man was indicted for allegedly sending more than 460 text messages threatening to harm 6 Supreme Court justices. And in New Jersey, a sweeping law enacted to protect the personal information of public officials after the son of a federal judge was killed by a gunman at their family home. Back in Kentucky, following the murder there, Governor Andy Beshear writing in a statement, "There is far too much violence in this world, and I pray there is a path to a better tomorrow."
Well, it sounds like he sort of surrendered to authorities, but I guess officials are still trying to figure out the motive. So what's next for investigators?
Sure. So as far as what's next, Hodo, we know that there are witnesses in the building, according to state police, but not within the judge's chambers. You have to figure they are going to be interviewed. And then according to state police, there's also video surveillance in the building. They believe, they're not exactly sure on what locations. That could be material as well. I will say that NBC News has tried to contact the attorney for Sheriff Steins. So far, we have not found one assigned to this case as of yet.
Okay. All right, Sam Brock. Sam, thank you.
Thanks, Sam.
Hey, thank
So it looked like they had mentioned a deputy had tried to use the chambers. Let me go back. To force an inmate to have sex. Let's see, where was that? Was it here? Do 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 do. Yeah, the deputy was accused. Let's go back. Let's play that part again.
Bad things can happen to good people.
With the motive unclear, Sheriff Steins was cited as a defendant in a 2022 lawsuit about a deputy accused of using the judge's chambers while demanding sexual favors from an inmate. Steins is accused of not properly training that deputy, who was later fired. According to court documents, Steins was scheduled to testify in a deposition on Monday.
Interesting. That's definitely interesting timing. Especially if y'all are saying that his motive was something else. Who knows? We'll find out. I hope that that's not true, that he was with the sheriff's daughter. I think any of us would do whatever it takes to protect an underage kid. I have a child in my house that is about to be 16, and she is beautiful, she is sweet, She is naive, and I am doing my best to help her not be so naive. But if I found out that someone in a position of power did something to her, I would probably go to prison too. And she's not even my blood. So I can't imagine what it's like for a parent in those situations. But because I would think that a deputy being accused of something and testifying in court wouldn't be the motive. Uh, but I mean, honestly, you never know. There's so much crazy stuff that's going on. So, all right, moving on. I have an update from the Deer Park gas line explosion. Oh, I didn't realize that that had music. I'm gonna have to remove that. I don't want music every time that I hit that. So everybody was asking if the driver was okay after the Deer Park fire, the gaslight explosion. I saw the vehicle. It didn't look that bad to me, but apparently they did recover human remains.
Topping the news this hour, we do have a live look over the Deer Park pipeline fire. While much diminished, it is still burning today, more than 60 hours after it first erupted. And breaking now, police revealing that a criminal investigation is underway. Good afternoon, I'm Sherman Chow. They've recovered human remains from that white SUV next to the fire and the broken pipeline valve. Folks have been wondering where the driver of that vehicle was since the explosion. Our Devon Raming has been covering this blaze since it began Monday. He joins us now live with brand new details. Devon.
Well, Sherman, we're actually able to give you a closer look at what's left of the fire here behind me off in the distance now that the neighboring Walmart parking lot is back open. It just reopened this morning. Energy Transfer says the fire is still burning itself out. This is actually the lowest we've seen it since it first started Monday morning. And within the last 3 hours, crews actually went in and towed that white SUV from the scene for processing. Now, this is video from this morning as the Deer Park Police Department and the Harris County Medical Examiner started the next steps in this investigation by processing the charred SUV. We're still working to learn who or what may have been found in the SUV. Deer Park City officials say the fire was caused by that SUV crashing through the fence of a nearby Walmart and hitting an above ground valve. People living in the blast zone started to return home yesterday evening, some of them finding their homes in complete ruins, either from the actual blast itself or from water damage after firefighters had to hose down some of the nearby homes to keep them from catching fire. One of those homes belonging to the Huttos family, who suffered significant damage inside and outside their home off East Meadow Drive. It's the second time their home was damaged this summer after their roof took a hit during Hurricane Beryl.
I've never had anything like this happen to me. It sickens me. I mean, you work all this time to make your house the way you want it, and then in a blink of an eye, it's gone.
I thought it was a nuclear bomb. It fell out of the chair. The dogs were already out the door trying to get out. But then when I got downstairs, I knew what it was, the pipeline.
The Huttos were relieved to find that the pictures of their late 2-year-old son were untouched. He sadly passed away 22 years ago. Back out here live, though, officials with Energy Transfer tell us they expect the fire to be completely out sometime this evening. Of course, we are going to stay on top of this story and bring you the latest in our later newscast this evening from here in Deer Park. Live in Deer Park, Devon Raming, KHOU 11 News.
All right, Devon.
Was the beeping necessary? You guys should have had that interview outside. I hate beeping. I hate that so much. Sorry, Jen. My dog also hates those noises a lot, which is why I'm glad that I have headphones on. I sacrificed my ears for my dog. So yeah, I got a lot of Diddy videos that I'm gonna have to go through. Let's see, we already saw the Kentucky Kentucky's got a lot going on right now. Florida and Kentucky are where I've got a lot of videos right now. Do you need extra insurance to cover an explosion? Because that would be stupid. Alright, so this I'm going to delete. Alright, so oh, more corruption. So in Delaware County, so this is where was born in this area. I wasn't raised, but I was born up in this area. So every time I hear the accents of Delaware County and Philadelphia area, it's like nostalgic for me. And I used to have an accent. I used to have an accent when I first moved from Pennsylvania, but living in Florida, I lost my accent. And now that I live in Texas, for some reason, just randomly, some of the words that I say will have like a southern twang to it, and my roommate thinks it's the funniest thing ever. I don't know why I do that. I don't think I have an accent. But anyway, so there is scandal with the police chief in Delaware County. And the Delaware County and the Philadelphia area is supposed to be was a nicer area, but there's so much corruption in government that I've been saying. Miami's always been corrupt, and then you see what's going on in New York, and Harris County has a bunch of crazy stuff going on. There's so much corruption. So let's see what's going on in Delaware County.
Dramatic moments erupting in Collingdale, Delaware County tonight as tempers flared over a plan to potentially hire this man as police chief. Problem is, he's under criminal investigation. Angry members of the local FOP are fighting the appointment, and some officers wanting to fight him. The controversy boiling over at a borough council meeting tonight. It is Tuesday night, and the big story in Action News is a police chief candidate under fire in Collingdale. The Delaware County District Attorney's Office confirms he is the target of an ongoing criminal investigation, and that has the community on edge. Action News reporter Caroline Goggin was at tonight's council meeting in Collingdale and is live with the full story. Caroline.
Rick, even before tonight's meeting, the council here in Collingdale made it clear that hiring a new police chief is a public matter, and it's one that will be done during a public meeting. While that public meeting was held here in the borough tonight in the building behind me, it was packed with people, standing room only, very heated at times. And after some really tense moments and a 10-minute recess, the meeting was ultimately canceled.
Mr. President, are you going to let us speak? No!
It was an incredibly intense meeting inside the Collingdale Borough building tonight. Fireworks flying over the council trying to make a controversial hire to fill the position of police chief.
How dare you even contemplate to put someone under criminal investigation as our chief of police?
In June, despite opposition from residents and some Collingdale police officers, the council voted 5-2 to remove police chief Patrick Kilroy. On tonight's agenda, the council was set to finalize the employment of a new chief, Raheem Blandon. The Delaware County Police Union says Blandon is on leave from his job as a Chester police officer and under investigation for alleged misconduct on the force.
He's under active criminal investigation for tipping off a suspect that was wanted in an attempted homicide. He put these SWAT officers at danger.
We caught up with Blandon as he tried to leave the meeting tonight.
I don't know anything about a criminal investigation with CID.
Blandon confirmed he has interviewed for the police chief job in Collingdale and says he's ready to take it, despite backlash from community members.
I just believe that they're making me the focal point, but beyond this is really about, I guess, the council members.
Make a way for the rest. It's coming down.
As Blandon went back into the building, there were tense moments between him and other officers. The night was defined by these kinds of moments, especially when the council president denied union representatives the opportunity to speak during public comment. That led to a 10-minute recess, and ultimately, the meeting was canceled. We tried speaking with the council president about why he believes Blandon is the right person for the job.
No comment.
The mayor of Collingdale expressed her opposition to the proposed hire.
But there's no way we ever should even think about hiring someone that is under investigation.
The Delaware County District Attorney's Office has confirmed that Blandon is under investigation. As for the issue of a new police chief here in the borough of Collingdale, that is tabled until the next meeting next month. We're live in Collingdale tonight. I'm Caroline Goggin, Channel 6 Action News. Rick?
Caroline, thank you.
I like his very reporter voice. Caroline, thank you. Yeah, don't hire somebody that's under criminal investigation for police chief. I don't think that's too much to ask. Good for the community getting all riled about it. The women that spoke sound like my aunt, my grandma, like that's how my whole family talks. And once I get around people that talk like that, I'll kind of revert to that. And he says he doesn't know anything about the criminal investigation, but then they confirm that there is a criminal investigation. That seems a little, stupid of city council to pick someone out of all the people, somebody that is under investigation for misconduct that he tipped off a freaking homicide suspect and potentially put the SWAT, like they said, potentially put the SWAT in danger. That's terrible. That's horrible. All right. So now more corruption. So we're going to move on to New York as soon as I find the video. New York has a lot of stuff going on too. Every state has a lot of stuff going on. Where are you? Where are you? Here we go. As investigations swirl at City Hall. So the mayor, Eric Adams, has been, the feds have came and taken stuff a few times. Now it's under investigation. Eric Adams and a Monsignor at, I think it's it's either Brooklyn or Bronx. I'm pretty sure it's Brooklyn. A Brooklyn diocese of the Catholic Church is also involved. So it just keeps getting crazier and crazier. Cannot wait until I haven't met one person that actually likes this mayor that's from New York. So yeah, definitely. I will not be shocked that once he's done, he goes to prison because there's so much stuff that he's under investigation for. And the police commissioner has stepped down. Multiple people in his organization have stepped down.
Amid swirling allegations, federal probes, and resignations, Mayor Eric Adams says his team is focused, not allowing this growing ethical storm to be a distraction. News 4's Andrew Siff is at City Hall right now with what else the mayor had to say.
Mayor Eric Adams said on issues that matter, he's delivered.
I have one job, take care of the people of this city. And you know what? I'm doing a darn good job in doing it.
But instead of kudos, the mayor faces questions, like why his police commissioner resigned, why his chief counsel, Lisa Zornberg, suddenly quit over the weekend.
If you're able to quote Eric says something or the chief counsel says something, then you are on target. Other than that, it's speculations and rumors.
Federal investigators seized phones from 3 members of the Banks family: Schools Chancellor David Banks, consultant Terry Banks, and Deputy Mayor Phil Banks. All have denied wrongdoing. So has another aide, Tim Pearson, the one-time NYPD commander who was Adams's supervisor at the police department. Today, the mayor said Pearson proved his value by cutting the exorbitant costs of the migrant crisis.
Tim Pearson's history in the police department of doing those type of analysis, we asked him to go in and look in, and we saved hundreds of millions of dollars.
Among those skeptical of that explanation, City Controller Brad Lander.
None of it instills trust in city government.
Lander said his office reviewed 12,000 city contracts and all too often found problems, like the NYPD's plan to fix the facade at headquarters for $5 million. He says City Hall improperly submitted the contract as an emergency. Asked if he thought the mayor should step down.
Look, this is why I'm running to replace him.
There are other challengers like State Senators Elnor Myrie, State Senator Jessika Ramos, and former Controller Scott Stringer. Adams said he's tuned it all out, just as he did when the feds seized his own phones 10 months ago.
I know how I live my life. I follow the law.
For now, Mayor Adams is hoping to shift the media and public focus away from the investigations and on to rats. This week, the mayor is hosting a 2-day summit aimed at decreasing the population of the infamous rodents. At City Hall, Andrew.
Yeah, good luck with that. Good luck. Take focus off of him and onto the rats. Aren't they the same thing? That thing from The Office, they're the same picture. Yeah, nobody I know likes him. Nobody I know thinks that he's done a good job. It's ridiculous. It's terrible. Yeah, so let's talk about the good job that he's done in the city. Let's see. There is an open air drug market in the Bronx. Hell on earth. So let me show you guys what's going on in the Bronx. Like, there's so much going on in New York City. And when I went to visit one of my friends in 2021. She lives in Queens. She lives in a very Asian area. If you've been to New York, you know that there's little areas that are their own, ethnicities and cultures. And she lives in a very, Filipino, Asian area. Her boyfriend's Filipino, so that makes sense. But since I've been there, it has changed so much because they have a couple of the hotels there that the migrants are staying at, and it's been causing a lot of issues. And she would move, but she can't afford to move. And I was telling her, like, I've never seen the things that you've seen in New York, in Texas, and I have been to multiple major cities in Texas, and I have never seen, because she'll send me photos of guys passed out on the sidewalk. I've seen videos of, like, they're doing fruit stands, but really these women are prostitutes, and they're dressed like prostitutes, and nothing is being done. So she won't even leave her house anymore. She doesn't use public transit because of all the stuff that's happening, and it's sad. And they just keep raising the toll fees too, because if she wants to go into other areas of New York, it's like way more money than it used to be. Oh, I've seen what's happening in Portland. I'm not going to go to Portland. I wouldn't live there. I would visit, but I'm definitely not. There's certain areas of the country that I definitely would not go to because of the stuff that's happening. And like San Francisco, Portland, they're having similar issues. If you leave a car in San Francisco, it's going to get broken into. She does drive in New York. She has a Mini Cooper. She doesn't drive that often, but she doesn't want to use public transit, and I don't blame her. I only used it once when I was there, and I went with a male friend of mine because I definitely wouldn't have used the transit by myself. But yeah, she has a Mini Cooper, and she rents a parking spot from a lady down the street that has a house and a driveway that doesn't have a vehicle. Because I couldn't, I would have such anxiety if I didn't have a parking spot and I had to fight people to drive all the time. So I understand why she pays for a parking spot. But yeah, she got a Mini Cooper, so it's easy to get in and out. All right, so on to the Bronx. And then we're going to look at the prison that Diddy is staying at.
Bronx Congressman Richie Torres sounding the alarm about an open-air drug market that he says is taking over a section of Melrose Avenue.
So we decided to check it out for ourselves. And as Fox 5's Arthur Sheehan shows us, it's happening at all hours of the day.
It's like hell on earth.
As soon as you come up from the subway at 149th Street and Melrose Avenue in the Bronx, you know something is very wrong. In just a 1-block span, we saw people shooting up, a man projectile vomiting, then passing out right next to his vomit. We witnessed money changing hands, all in broad daylight. It's what people here call an open-air drug market.
They should stop them. They should talk to them and give them help, or arrest them and see what they need help with.
It's always gun violence. It's always fighting. It's always crackheads all up in this block, all up and down this block.
Those who live and work here are past the stage of shock. They're outraged the city is, in their words, ignoring open drug use, which children have to witness in person, modeling the most destructive of behaviors. A group of school children walked by the scene of people shooting up as we interviewed Wendy.
You see the kids, look what they gotta walk by. Look at that.
Good that you came.
Hassan's business has been here for 20 years. He now has to pay someone to clean urine and defecation off his door every morning, even sharing surveillance video as proof of it. It's so bad that he's lost a lot of customers, many of them women.
People, they don't really want to pass here, see people taking the MP, and they rather just go to other stores.
As much as residents over here are not okay with this, the users shouldn't be okay with it either. The city is grappling with a fentanyl crisis and facing some 3,500 overdose deaths each year, and that number is jumping significantly with each passing year. A call for help has gone out from Congressman Richie Torres. In a letter to Mayor Eric Adams, he demands the city dismantle the open-air drug trade that's taken a hold on Melrose Avenue so publicly. In a statement, City Hall tells Fox 5 it's received the letter and looks forward to working with the congressman to improve safety. Torres says he's happy to help, but makes clear whose job it is to do something here.
But ultimately, the mayor runs the city, right? He controls the police department, he controls the Department of Health, and he should be deploying both police officials and health officials to dismantle the open-air drug market.
Until then, people here tell us the occasional visit by police just isn't doing it. On Melrose Avenue in the Bronx, Arthur Chien.
Yeah, and the fentanyl crisis, addicts definitely need help, but they need to do something. The fact that they just allow people to do that, because I think in Portland they've decriminalized a lot of drug usage, and that's why it is the way that it is there. But in New York, it's not like that. They're just not enforcing it. One of my friends that lives in New York talks about, NYPD doesn't do this or that. But, I tell her, like, how many officers are there? How many are in those places? What are they assigned to do? Most places are short-staffed when it comes to law enforcement. But they also don't get any backing, so they arrest this person and then they're out on bond like almost immediately, especially if it's drugs, and then they're back out on the street. I couldn't be a police officer in this environment. I used to want to be one. When I lived in Miami Beach, I did ride-alongs with the police department. I did ride-alongs with Miami Beach Police. I did ride-alongs with Miami-Dade. I was being recruited by the police department. Had I not gotten into a car accident and hurt my shoulder, I probably would have ended up in Miami Beach Police Department. But the reason why I wanted that department was because they didn't normally deal with a lot of stuff that the city did, because it was mostly like drunk tourists and domestic violence and things like that. It wasn't a lot of real serious crime, and that has changed. Yeah, NYPD could be the largest, but when you look at police departments, there's only so many officers that are assigned per area. Because when I called police, and I was very upset that it took the police hours and hours to come, that I was very upset, but then I found out that there's only 5 police officers patrolling my whole area, and I overlapped with a very busy area that had bars and stuff, and that's why it took so long to get cops to come to me. Oh, Carly Gregg's verdict is in. Oh, well, let me pull that up. Let's pull that up. Let's see if she's guilty. I'll be shocked if she's not. Let me Come on, YouTube. We'll take a little break real quick just for this, the verdict. Yes, all right. I see Law and Crime has it. Yeah, I'll pull it up. Do 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 do. I mean, it's probably gonna. I would be shocked if it's not guilty. I've seen some of the evidence. Oh, Court TV's better. Okay, let me pull up Court TV. Do 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 do. All right, here's Court TV. Yeah, and that's one of the reasons I moved was because I couldn't deal with the police response anymore. I don't hear any audio. So there's no audio, right? Because I don't hear anything. I just want to make sure it's not me. If anyone else is watching it anywhere else. I mean, she's a kid. Okay, there's no, okay. She is a child, right? She was what, 14 when she did this? And I saw the video of her right after, and I saw that the psychologist said that she also didn't have any mental health issues. So that's interesting. Of course she's scared. 2 hours for deliberations. That's pretty quick. God, her hair looks like mine when I was a kid, and it looks terrible. Like it's just an odd haircut because your hair flips both ways. That poor. I feel bad for her, but you know, at the same time, I don't because she violently killed her mother. She should have taken the 40-year plea. I agree. I agree. I don't think the jury is going to be any nicer to her. What state is this in? I think it's in MS. No, not Mississippi. MS. What is MS? Somebody tell me what the abbreviation is. Missouri? Mississippi. Oh. Oh, she's in Mississippi. Oh, this probably isn't going to work out well for her. But sometimes juries are more compassionate when it comes to these kinds of things. Who knows? And look, like this poor kid, she has all this acne here. Like she's literally a child. And for anybody that's wondering, acne never stops. Yeah, I'm 41 and I still have acne. I mean, she's a child. I can't say anything horrific about a child. I don't know what really truly happened in that household. Not that anything would condone what she did, but uh, the criminal justice system isn't black and white. There's a lot of gray in there. Yeah, the forensic psychologist said she was not insane. Yeah, I did see the report from the psychologist saying that she did not have mental health issues at the time, which I really don't know. I don't know what her lawyers were thinking. She was documented that she was a cutter. Well, that that shows something. That's some sort of mental illness or struggle because you don't just cut to cut. Did it only happen 5 months ago? It was only 5 months ago? What are they waiting for? Oh, here we go. Here we go.
All right, please be seated.
March 2024. Yeah, they went really fast.
The court's been informed that the jury's reached a verdict. I say this in every case. One half of this room, I don't know which half, is going to be upset. Do not add injury to insult. These people did not ask for this job. They didn't want the job. The state and the defense forced them into the job. You will not approve the jury's verdict, and you will not disapprove of the jury's verdict, or you will go to jail. It is a 30-day jail sentence for every outburst. I'm going to give anyone who does not believe that they are able to control their emotions the opportunity to leave the courtroom at this time. Would anybody like to leave? All right, Mr. Bailiff, please bring in the jury.
Bring the jury. Okay, so it seems that everybody has liked this judge. Yeah, he seems like he runs a tight courtroom.
You can sit right there, ma'am. Ma'am, I see you're holding some papers. The jury been able to reach a verdict in any of these counts?
Yes, sir.
All right, if you would, please hand the paper to the bailiff. Ms. Gregg, please rise and come to the podium, along with your attorneys. All right, the verdicts appear to be in proper form. Verdict of the jury is count one. We, the jury, find the defendant, Carly Madison Gregg, guilty of first-degree murder as charged in the indictment. Count two. We, the jury, find the defendant, Carly Madison Gregg, guilty of attempted murder as charged in the indictment. Count three. We, the jury, find the defendant, Carly Madison Gregg, guilty of tampering with evidence as charged in the indictment. Please be seated, Ms. Gregg. Ladies and gentlemen, the jury is custom for the court to poll the jury. I have to do it each time. And for each count, I'm not being rude. The quickest way for me to get through this is to simply point at you and you answer out loud. As to count one, we, the jury, find the defendant, Carly Madison Gregg, guilty of first-degree murder as charged in the indictment. Beginning on the first row, ma'am, is that your verdict? Sir, is that your verdict? Yes, sir. Ma'am, is that your verdict? Yes. Sir, is that your verdict? Yes. Ma'am, is that your verdict? You got to answer out loud, ma'am. I'm sorry. Yes. On the back row, sir, is that your verdict? Ma'am, is that your verdict? Ma'am, is that your verdict? Yes. Sir, is that your verdict? Ma'am, is that your verdict? Ma'am, is that your verdict? Ma'am, is that your verdict? That verdict is proper and unanimous. As to count two, we, the jury, find the defendant, Carly Madison Gregg, guilty of attempted murder as charged in the indictment. Beginning on the first row. Ma'am, is that your verdict? Yes, sir. Sir, is that your verdict? Yes, sir. Ma'am, is that your verdict? Sir, is that your verdict? Yes. Ma'am, is that your verdict? Yes. On the back row, sir, is that your verdict? Yes, sir. Ma'am, is that your verdict? Yes. Ma'am, is that your verdict? Sir, is that your verdict? Ma'am, is that your verdict? Ma'am, is that your verdict? Ma'am, is that your verdict? Count three, we, the jury, find the defendant, Carly Madison Gregg, guilty of tampering with evidence as charged in the indictment. Beginning on the first row, ma'am, is that your verdict? Yes, sir. Sir, is that your verdict? Yes, sir. Ma'am, is that your verdict? Sir, is that your verdict? Yes, sir. Ma'am, is that your verdict? Yes, sir. On the back row, sir, is that your verdict? Yes, ma'am, is that your verdict? Ma'am, is that your verdict? Sir, is that your verdict? Ma'am, is that your verdict? Ma'am, is that your verdict? Ma'am, is that your verdict? All right, all three verdicts appear to be unanimous. The court will enroll the verdict. All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, with you having returned a verdict of guilty in count one and count two of the indictment, we'll now proceed to the sentencing phase of the trial. The state of Mississippi may call its first witness.
What? They go that quick?
The state has no witnesses. We would just ask that the court adopt the previous occurred, with the exception of we seek to introduce one photograph.
All right. State wishes to move to adopt and incorporate by reference the record of the guilt phase. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Show your piece of evidence to the other side. Any objection?
Yes, Your Honor.
Y'all approach.
I wasn't expecting them to go into sentencing so quickly. In Texas, generally the jury decides what punishment is and then they deliberate again. Okay, so those of you that have been watching the trial, the attorneys were told to be ready for that. That I don't know if that's a Mississippi thing or what. So I guess I don't know what the minimum sentence is for this. I would assume 20 years or life. My friend has sent me one of my friends is very upset about some stuff on Reddit, and she sent me 14 text messages. Yeah, he probably had it ready for either verdict. And the stepdad, we have to remember, it's only been 5 months since his wife was murdered. The daughter's the only person that he has a true connection with his wife, even though she's the one that took her life. The dad is still... I can't blame the stepfather for any weird behavior because it's only been a few months. That's her mom's parents she's talking to.
All right, the state has moved to adopt and incorporate by reference the record of the guilt phase of the trial. The court will grant that request. Does the state have any other witnesses it wishes to call?
No, sir.
All right, defense may call any witnesses.
We don't have any witnesses, Your Honor.
All right. With the defense not calling any witnesses, attorneys approach. Does the defense rest its case in chief as to sentencing?
We do.
Do you also move to adopt and incorporate by reference the record?
We do.
All right, y'all approach.
Are his glasses on a chain? Because they're like on his abdomen. Right, I think that the stepdad is still grieving and trying to understand how he should feel. I know for me, the few months after Austin's murder are a blur. There's things that happened that I don't even remember. And a lot of it is being told what happened. This judge told the jury a 5-day trial, and he's sticking with that.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, with both sides agreeing to rely on the testimony from the guilt phase, the court will further instruct you at this time. You, the jury, have found the defendant guilty of the crime of first-degree murder in count 1. You must now decide whether to impose either a sentence of life imprisonment in the custody of the Department of Corrections or life imprisonment in the custody of the Department of Corrections with the possibility of parole. The court instructs the jury that you should consider the following factors in making your decision. 1, the defendant's chronological age. 2, the defendant's family, home, and environment. 3, the circumstances of the homicide offense. 4, the defendant's incompetencies associated with youth. And 5, the defendant's possibility of rehabilitation. The court instructs the jury that when all 12 of you reach and agree upon the defendant's sentence for first-degree murder, you shall return the sentence in one of the following forms. If you agree to sentence the defendant to life imprisonment in the custody of the Department of Corrections, your verdict will be as follows. Quote, count 1. Quote, as to count 1, we the jury sentence the defendant Carly Madison Gregg to life imprisonment. Close quotes. If you agree to sentence the defendant to life imprisonment in the custody of the Department of Corrections with the possibility of parole, your verdict will read as follows. Quote, as to count 1, we the jury sentence the defendant Carly Madison Gregg to life imprisonment with the possibility of parole. Close quote. If you cannot agree to the sentence for the defendant as to first-degree murder, your verdict will be as follows. Quote, as to count one, we the jury are unable to affix the punishment, close quote. You the jury, have found the defendant guilty of the crime of attempted murder in count two. You must now decide whether to impose either a sentence of life imprisonment in the custody of the Department of Corrections or life imprisonment in the custody of the Department of Corrections with the possibility of parole. The court instructs the jury that you should consider the following factors in making your decision. 1, the defendant's chronological age. 2, the defendant's family and home environment. 3, the circumstances of the homicide offense. 4, the defendant's incompetencies associated with youth. And 5, the defendant's possibility of rehabilitation. The court instructs the jury that when all 12 of you reach and agree upon the defendant's sentence for attempted murder, you shall return the sentence in one of the following forms. If you agree to sentence the defendant to life imprisonment in the custody of the Department of Corrections, quote, as to count 2, we the jury sentence the defendant, Carly Madison Gregg, to life imprisonment, close quote. If you agree to sentence the defendant to life imprisonment in the custody of the Department of Corrections with the possibility of parole, your verdict will read as follows, quote, as to count 2, we the jury sentence the defendant, Carly Madison Gregg, to life imprisonment with the possibility of parole, close quote. If you cannot agree to the sentence for the defendant as to attempted murder, your verdict will read as follows, quote, as to count 2, we the jury are unable to affix the punishment, close quotes. All right. First closing by the state as to sentencing. Mr. Bailiff, 7.5 minutes. You wish a 2-minute warning or a 1-minute warning?
1 minute is fine.
1 minute. You may proceed.
Ladies and gentlemen, you've been here for 5 days now. Over 5 days, we've heard about this terrible crime that was committed by Carly Gregg. You have to consider her chronological age. We can't change that. She's 15 years old. In the eyes of the law, we talked about this on Monday, Carly Gregg is an adult. You do get to consider her age, but that's not the only factor you consider when you determine whether or not to send her to prison for life. We'd ask that she be sent to prison for life without the possibility of parole, and let me tell you why. When you consider her family and home environment, ladies and gentlemen, by all accounts, the defendant has told you she had a loving home. She had parents that adored her. She had every opportunity, more opportunities than most kids. She was advanced in school. She had guitar lessons. They took her to equestrian therapy. They took her to counseling. She had the opportunity to have medication. Nothing was enough for her. She still committed these heinous crimes. Nothing. Her home life was a perfect home life. When we talk about these factors in Miller, that usually comes up when we talk about these defendants that have been grown up on the streets, when their parents weren't present. Now, did Carly have a dad that she didn't love or had problems? Absolutely. But ladies and gentlemen, that is not enough. That is not enough for her to be able to walk the streets. She murdered someone. She attempted to murder her stepdad. Her family life and her dad being on drugs is not enough. The circumstances of the homicide, I don't have to tell you that. Y'all just lived it. You watched it. You saw those awful photographs. You had to watch that terrible video. We listened to Ashley Smiley's last sounds. We heard from Heath Smiley on that 911 call, the desperation. He said, help me, help me. Ladies and gentlemen, those crimes were awful. She has shown zero remorse for what she has done. Let's talk about her ability for rehabilitation. The defendant's own expert during the guilt phase of this trial said, you know, she's on this medicine, she's fine. But if you believed that, ladies and gentlemen, you would have believed that she was having some disassociated spell at the time of the crime, and that she's continuing to have these disassociated spells. And obviously no one's buying that, right? We don't know why she committed these crimes, but we know she did. And we know that she is a danger to society. If she is given the possibility of parole, no one in this room knows how long she will stay there. We cannot guarantee she will stay there 1 year or 10 years. We have no control over that. Ladies and gentlemen, we watched one of the most heinous things that I believe most of you will ever see in your life. Please do not let this lady have the possibility of parole. If she were paroled, nothing would stop her from walking into a school. Nothing would stop her from walking into a shopping mall. Nothing would stop her from walking into the grocery stores. Nothing would stop her from being in the movie theaters. Ladies and gentlemen, she is dangerous. She may look like a little girl. They may have said she's sweet little Carly, but unfortunately we all know that that's not true. We will ask, and I will ask you again when we stand back before you, that you sentence Ms. Gregg to life in prison without the possibility of parole for both the murder of her mother, Ashley Smiley, and the attempted murder of her stepfather, Heath Smiley. Thank you.
Argument as to sentencing by the defense. How much of a warning would you like, Mr. Camp?
2 minutes, Your Honor.
2 minutes. 15 minutes total.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to have to tell you, this is probably the most difficult thing I've ever had to do. I respect your jurors, and I respect your verdict, and I totally understand that. And now I'm in front of you. Code Greg, when this happened, was 14. She's 15 now. Her family's sitting on the front row. Her grandparents, which are Ashley's mother and father, have been supportive during this whole process. He's smiling. Who's the victim in this case? He has been supportive. This is a family that's been torn apart because of this. This is extremely, extremely difficult on all of them. I know the state is up here saying that she's this heinous individual. And you've heard a lot of testimony that that's not who Carly is. You heard the counselors, Ms. Kirk. She couldn't believe it happened. Nobody knows why it happened. You have the opportunity to not make this worse on the family. You have 3 options. You can do life without parole, you can do life with parole, or you can let the judge make the determination. In this case, we would ask you, let the judge make the determination. We don't want you to give her a sentence for life in prison. Life in prison is life in prison. That's it. 14-year-old. She can come out of this at some point. And you were hearing she can walk out of here in 10. We don't, first of all, we don't know. And usually it's a lot longer than that. I mean, a lot longer. So, I don't want you to, go back in that room and think, oh, if you come back and say she gets parole, it's not a short sentence at all. We would ask you to allow the judge to make the sentence, because the judge understands. I'm not saying y'all don't. I mean, you don't have the ability, so don't get me wrong on that. But he knows, and the court knows, what we're actually looking at with times. And so please, in this situation, please let the judge make the sentence in this case.
That's it? That's all you got, defense?
Final closing on behalf of the state.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Kemp is right. We may never know the reason why Carly killed her mom and attempted to kill her stepdad. And for me, that's even scarier than knowing why. Because if we don't know why, what's to say it won't happen again? We don't know. It is terrible for the family. The family has my sympathies, absolutely. I cannot imagine what any of them have gone through. We talked in voir dire about how sometimes the victims cooperate with the prosecutor and the prosecution, and sometimes they don't. We don't always know why. But I know this. My office represents the citizens of Rankin County, and my office is asking you to please sentence Ms. Gregg to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the jury, you've received you've heard the arguments. I'm going to ask you, I'll send you back the instructions. I'm going to ask that you retire to begin your deliberations. Everyone remain seated while the jury exits.
She had a burner phone. Tell me more about that. Yeah, vapes are very popular with kids.
Mr. Bailiff, they still have the verdicts, the evidence. Yes, sir. All right, if you would take those to them. All right, we'll be in recess till such time as the jury reaches its verdict regarding sentencing.
All right. So we'll see what happens with sentencing. So she's guilty. Guilty, guilty, guilty. Let's see if they do life with parole or life without the possibility of parole. Yeah, THC vapes are very popular. Vapes in general are very popular. There was just a mom that was killed after chasing a drug dealer that sold her kids THC vapes. They shot her. I shared that a few weeks ago. So I'm going to keep this window open in the back so I can hear when they come back. I don't think they'll be gone very long. I think it'll be fast. Oh Lord, the next video is louder. So now we're going to show the Brooklyn Federal Jail where Diddy is locked up. Let me remove this, and again.
This program contains subject matter and language that may be disturbing to some viewers. Viewer discretion is advised.
Yes, always viewer discretion is advised. We never know what's going to come up in some of these clips. But here is the Brooklyn Federal Prison. Come on, there we go.
Sean Diddy Combs is locked up in a federal jail that has been plagued by harsh conditions and violence. The Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn has seen multiple deaths in recent years. An inmate was stabbed to death in July, and several others have died by suicide. It's these reasons, among others, that Combs' lawyers are fighting to get him out of there. They want him released on bail rather than being kept in jail while he awaits trial on sex trafficking charges. Combs is just the latest high-profile defendant to be locked up at MDC Brooklyn. Before him, there were R. Kelly, Elaine Maxwell, and crypto scammer Sam Bankman-Fried. Maxwell complained about her treatment at the facility, which included round-the-clock checks in the wake of her associate Jeffrey Epstein's jail suicide. A few years ago, a week-long power outage in the dead of winter left detainees in drab, cold conditions. Judges have also raised alarms. They've pressed the Bureau of Prisons for status updates and implored the agency to fix things. One judge even refused to send some defendants to the jail. For now, Combs is one of about 1,200 people locked up at MDC Brooklyn. He's the highest profile detainee at a place that's been described as hell on earth.
Okay, that loud noise at the end was very unnecessary. We could have done without that. Yeah, he's probably in isolation too. I don't think that they are going to allow him near anybody. And from what I've seen, let's see. So apparently he is on suicide watch now. Fox 5 in New York. Yeah, he is on suicide watch. Going to play that video next. Well, I lied. First, I'm going to play a video that talks about more people cooperating and then talk about him on suicide watch. Yeah, jail's not supposed to be comfortable. I don't think that you should have to worry about your loved one being killed in there, but unfortunately, there's other violent offenders in there. Diddy's likely in isolation by himself because he is such a high-profile person. So let's see what they say from TMZ. They tend to have the information first, and most of the time they're correct. It should be livable but not comfy. I agree. I agree. And I don't think he's going to get bail either. They already took all his kids' passports, not just his, all of his children. And 50 million, he tried a $50 million in assets to get bond and they still said no. So I think that says a lot. Two different judges.
All right, we're getting into the debrief and the very latest on Sean Diddy Combs' arrest on sex trafficking crimes. TMZ is reporting that at least 2 new people plan to cooperate with the feds, and they're willing to testify in front of the grand jury.
All right, joining us now with the details, Charles Latabaudier, TMZ executive producer. Charles, thanks so much for being here with us. Obviously, it's been a very busy week in this case. What's the latest with the investigation?
Yes, Steve and Bianca, as U.S. Attorney Damian Williams promised earlier this week, he said this is an ongoing investigation and that they will be speaking to more people. We found out that these 2 individuals, and we have actually spoken to one of them. They are both sex workers, currently sex workers. One of them says that they had an interaction with Diddy in 2014. And they are willing to tell the feds what they know about that interaction. And another one said that they are willing, and not only willing, but have been subpoenaed to go before the grand jury. So the second person could end up going before the grand jury. At this stage, they are just going to be interviewed by prosecutors. Clearly, they're trying to figure out what these other witnesses know and how they can help them convict Diddy, and that's the name of the game at this point for the feds.
Yeah.
The question is if there is going to be a jury, because yesterday you reported that a former warden had a warning for Diddy that he should watch his back in prison.
Yeah. Look, this is, he's going to be in this at Brooklyn, MDC Brooklyn. Who knows? It could be up to a year before this trial begins. And obviously, they're going to be, his attorneys have said that they're going to try to get him moved to a different facility. But for now, he's in there. And what we've been told by a former warden is he's a target. That's the fact of the matter. And that's why they have him in a solitary part of the jail, because they don't, he becomes a target because it's like what we've been told, it's like a badge of honor that if you were able to inflict some violence on Diddy, that gets you score points with other inmates. So that's a situation that obviously the jail officials do not want to happen. So they're going out of the way to make sure that doesn't happen. He is in a really, can you imagine like the lap of luxury that Diddy's been used to for decades now? And then just like that, he is now in this jail. And unless they can get him bail at some point, he's going to be behind bars for a long time.
And just briefly, what's going on behind the scenes in Hollywood? All these people who partied with him, who might be on these hidden tapes. What level of panic are you hearing from all these people we know who associated with him over the years?
I will tell you, Steve, we are not hearing any panic because no one, and this has been true since the raids, really, nobody who we know, people who we know Diddy. We've seen them at his parties, and I'm not talking about the freak-offs. I mean, we haven't seen any of that video, though. Remember, the feds say they do have video that they seized during the raids from those freak-offs, so they know who the celebrities are if they're already involved in the freak-offs. But we've seen plenty of video over the years of Diddy's very public parties, and all those people, you know, they're not saying anything. They haven't for months, and yes, to your point, there certainly got to be people who are nervous about getting a call from the U.S. Attorney's Office, whether it be to come in as a witness, whether it be just to be interviewed to find out what they know, or go before the grand jury, which is something nobody wants to do. They all want to be away from this case as much as possible.
I feel like we're certainly just scratching the surface on this case. Let's talk about something else happening right now. You're reporting today that Lady Gaga's dad just endorsed Trump, calling him pure and a patriot. Was this surprising to you as you guys were talking about this today?
It was definitely surprising. Joe Germanata, or as we've been calling him here in...
Yeah, we're going to skip the politics. We're not going to get into politics. I don't really care what Lady Gaga's dad did. I'm just here for Diddy. And yes, thank you, Cassie, for getting all this started and all the victims that have spoken up. All right, so now we're going to move on to the video about Diddy being on suicide watch.
The story we're tracking, music mogul Sean Diddy Combs on suicide watch at Brooklyn's Metropolitan Detention Center after 2 judges denied his request for bail. This as a grand jury is expected to hear new testimony from sex workers very soon. Good Day's Lizette Nunez is outside the facility in Gowanus with the very latest. Lizette, good morning.
Good morning, Dan. So TMZ is reporting that 2 sex workers are sharing their encounters with Diddy with the feds. We're also hearing that Diddy has a target on his back while he is behind bars here at the Metropolitan Detention Center. TMZ is reporting that more people plan to cooperate with the feds in Sean Diddy Combs' sex trafficking case.
We found out that these 2 individuals, and we have actually spoken to one of them. They are both sex workers, currently sex workers. One of them says that they had an interaction with Diddy in 2014, and they are willing to tell the feds what they know about that interaction.
Jeremy Saland, a criminal defense attorney, weighing in.
You can't, as a prosecutor, subpoena or force a witness to come speak to you in your office, but you can subpoena them to a grand jury where they can speak there or have to potentially speak there. So whether these are new witnesses, whether these are new complainants, meaning victim parties, making the allegations, will yet to be seen. But it doesn't bode well. It doesn't, certainly it's not a good thing if you're Sean Combs' team.
According to several reports, Diddy has been placed on suicide watch at the Metropolitan Correction Center in Brooklyn. The music mogul's mental state is unknown, but being placed on watch is considered to be a preventative measure. This week, 2 different judges denied his request for a $50 million bond. His lead defense attorney is attempting to move him to a different facility in New Jersey as he awaits trial. TMZ is reporting that due to his celebrity status and the allegations, this could bring unwanted attention from other inmates and be a threat to Diddy.
What we've been told by a former warden is he's a target. That's the fact of the matter, and that's why they have him in a solitary part of the jail, because they don't, he becomes a target because it's like what we've been told, it's like a badge of honor that if you were able to inflict some violence on Diddy, that gets you score points with other inmates. So that's the situation that obviously the jail officials do not want to happen.
And federal investigators have made it clear that they do have video evidence, so they have an idea of who was a part of these freak-offs. Now, the criminal defense attorney that we spoke to, he went on to say, depending on what these sex workers share, that means, potentially could mean that there would be new charges for Diddy. As latest here from Brooklyn.
We shall see. He already has a bunch of charges. We'll see what else. And I just don't understand why you would record all that. You're doing all this illegal stuff. You're recording it to blackmail people, but then they can also use it against you when they get caught. Or, like, if you get caught and you get raided like he did, it doesn't make any sense to me. Like, at all. Hi, Steve. Thanks for coming back. Yeah, we took a break from news clips for a little bit because they came back with the Carly Gregg verdict, and now we're waiting on sentencing. Hopefully, sentencing comes back before I have to. Well, I have a phone call in about 45 minutes, but I might just play a video while the phone call happens. We'll see. We'll see what happens. All right. So, yes, I do have the Carly Gregg video, the security video that they played at trial. Do, 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 do. Looking. The defense rest. I have so many Diddy videos. Security video shown to the jury. All right, I got from the Jackson, Mississippi. Carrie, we appreciate you being here. I love you too. God, the poor dogs have no idea what's going on. The dogs are just scared. They have no idea what happened. And she's just sitting there in her Nirvana shirt. Oh, those poor dogs. That was so loud. Yeah, my dog would be freaked out too. She doesn't like loud noises. And she's just so calm. She going back? Okay. Whew.
Dad, good evening.
Ooh, yeah, that was a hard watch. Oh, wait, oh, the jury has a question. Hold on.
Look at the note.
So the question was, how long is life without parole, is what the jury asked.
All right. Anybody need to review any further? No. All right, we'll mark this C next to number for ID purposes only. All right. Well, the truth of the matter is that the truthful answer to that question is nobody knows. However, typically all the court can say is something to the effect of, you have received all of the evidence and instructions in this case, please continue your deliberations. I'll hear arguments from the state as to response.
No argument, Your Honor.
By the defense.
No argument, Your Honor.
All right, I'm going to ask Ms. Butler or Ms. Eaton to write that out. Y'all know my handwriting's bad.
So don't answer the question at all? Let's just confuse the jury? That's one thing I hate about being a juror. There's just, you don't really get full explanations with stuff. Like, they want a general idea of how many years it could possibly be. I don't think that's fair to the jury. Unless you know law, there's a lot of things that can be confusing as a juror. And I've been on a juror, so I know. Okay, what are y'all doing?
I'm going to ask counsel for both sides to approach one more time with the note. Make sure you
okay.
agree that's what it says.
Okay. Judge is like, all right, yeah.
Any objections by the state? No, sir. By the defense? No, Your Honor. All right, I'm going to ask Ms. Butler to make a copy of that. I'll mark the copy C next in number for ID purposes only. The bailiff will take the original back to the jurors.
He's like, nobody knows how long life is, like it's some philosophical
The copy
question.
of the note will be marked C next in number, C4 for ID purposes only. Mr. Bailiff, you can take that note to the jury. We'll be in recess till the jury reaches a verdict.
Okay. All right, goodbye. Okay. All right. So, a couple months ago, I had shared a video of a woman that was missing, and her husband was a suspect because he was acting really suspicious, and then it turned out he did actually kill his wife. She was a younger woman. He was a little bit older, so he has been charged in his wife's disappearance because they found evidence. I don't know if they found a body or not. Let's see what the video says.
To you. I'm Scott Thuman. The criminal trial for Mamta Kafle Bhatt's husband, Naresh Bhatt, who is charged with concealing her body, is now set for early December. That leaves the defense and the prosecution with less than 3 months to gather enough evidence to support their case. 7 News' Rebecca Turco explains the potential legal strategy underway.
The husband of the missing Manassas Park mom is getting the speedy trial his legal team wanted.
In this case, the defense strategy has been pedal to the metal.
John Fishwick is giving us his independent expertise as a former U.S. attorney for the Western District of Virginia who now does criminal defense. Court documents reveal Naresh Bhatt is accused of killing his wife Mamta, but the 37-year-old is officially charged with a lower-level felony, concealing her body, which police are still searching for. Prosecutors wanted a later trial date, saying in court today they have a long list of witnesses to contact.
Prosecution wanted it as far out as possible. The defense wanted it to happen, tomorrow. And so the judge split the baby. He set the trial basically 3 months out.
John says the Commonwealth now has to strategize 2 game plans here.
They obviously hope to find her body. It's a sad day when that happens, but they're using all their efforts to do that. And then the backup plan is to try the case without her body being located prior to December.
He believes the prosecution is directing all their efforts on finding Mamta, working around the clock and running down every possible lead, maybe even finding more evidence in the process. He says the defense is banking on the evidence that's available by the trial to be in their favor. Naresh's public defender argued in court last week that they're trying to find out where Mamta is, saying she could still be alive.
And now it'll be time for kind of put up or shut up for each side. Does the Commonwealth have enough evidence, and does the defense raise the issue of is there not proof beyond a reasonable doubt? So the battle lines have been drawn. Time will tell if this strategy of the defense works.
Reporting in Manassas, Rebecca Turco.
Yeah, normally the defense does not want trials to move so quickly, but in this, it definitely goes to their advantage. Let's see. Yeah, Dina sent me the arrest video of Diddy, so I'll show that real quick. If I can get it up and run. It's not the best video because it has like some watermark over it that I think is TMZ that makes it a little harder to see, but I did notice some places, other places other than like the Boston, Massachusetts area have used Commonwealth. I think in Kentucky they said Commonwealth the other day. Wait. Oh, open. I'm not trying to have all of my Twitter displayed when I share this. All right, hold on. Okay, so this is the video, no sound. Make it bigger. You gonna make it bigger? I hit the button. I hit the button. Okay, let me rewind it. And we're gonna make it bigger. Here we go. I can't. Okay, I guess that's Diddy in the black shirt, black jacket. That's it? That's all they do? Okay. Oh. Well. That's interesting. Why is it? Alright, well that's it. Nothing exciting there. He didn't resist or anything, he just went. Think he knows better. Okay, so let me see what else. So they did do a DNA test on the body that they found in the woods. So far, it has been inconclusive if it's Joseph or not. And you would be surprised how quickly, especially in heat, a human can decompose. I don't know how hot it's been in Kentucky, but like in Texas, I know it doesn't take long.
Update tonight on that body found in the Laurel County woods believed to be the alleged I-75 shooter, Joseph Couch. The medical examiner's office says their first test to identify the person came back inconclusive. Police believe it is Couch, the man they accuse of shooting 5 people as they were driving on the interstate. The body was found yesterday evening close to where that shooting happened. The medical examiner's office confirmed today the person died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. People in Laurel County telling us they are relieved this manhunt has closed and they can return to life as normal.
Just go full force is what I'm ready for. School back, events happening again, outdoor, because we do a lot of outdoor events here in London, Kentucky, and then with Chicken Festival coming up, I hope it just takes a lot of fear out of everybody and let's just get back to normal.
Kentucky State Police recovered the body last night, thanks in part to Sheila and Fred McCoy, a couple out searching the area. The body was sent to Frankfurt for an autopsy. The next test results could take up to 2 days to return.
Honestly, that's how I expected it to end. I don't think that he went into that thinking he was going to get out of it. At all. Let's see. What else? Yeah, I want to hear more about Chicken Festival. What goes on in Chicken Festival? That's what I want to know. I want to hear more about the Chicken Festival. Do you bring chickens? Are there chickens there? What is it, a fried chicken festival? Is it food? Do you get to eat chicken? Kentucky Fried Chicken would make sense. Anyway, moving right along. Cleveland news. An 8-year-old drove herself to Target. Did you guys hear about that? Poke Mom, you guys have a headless chicken festival? What? No, thank you. I want just chicken nuggets or something. So make sure that you take your kids to Target when they want to go. Otherwise, they will steal your car and go themselves. That's what this 8-year-old did.
An 8-year-old girl had places to be, and she took it upon herself to get there. This morning, she drove herself to Target. According to police, the girl lives in Bedford and drove to a Target in Bainbridge Township. News 5's Maya Lockett has more on what happened.
What started off as a missing child report soon turned into a busy day for an 8-year-old at this Target in Aurora.
She did advise the driver appeared to be small in stature, and she should be
in that vehicle driving.
The driver was an 8-year-old girl who was originally reported missing along with the family's vehicle, a 2020 Nissan Rogue. In a press release from Bedford Police, family last saw the child around 7 a.m. A next-door neighbor provided the family and officers with Ring camera footage that showed the child got into the SUV and drove off around 7 a.m. alone.
Bainbridge located the vehicle so far, but not the child.
Officers learned through dispatch that Bainbridge PD had located the vehicle in the Target parking lot in their city.
Bainbridge does have the female juvenile.
Moments later, officers were able to locate the 8-year-old inside of the Target. On a Facebook post from Bedford Police, they said they did let her finish her Frappuccino. The girl admitted during her drive she struck a mailbox. Target employees told News 5 the child walked in with more than $400 and proceeded to walk around the store shopping for items and checking out. Now, police did make Target employees give the money that was spent inside the Target by the 8-year-old back to the family, and I did attempt to speak with the family today. However, they did not want to go on camera and they did not want to provide a comment. Reporting in Aurora, Maya Lockett.
Ooh. Ooh. I don't know if she took mom's card. I don't know where she got that $400 from. I don't know if it was cash or what. Nah, my mom would have whooped my... I would have been in so much trouble. I never would have even considered trying to steal a car to go to Target. So I do have the next two videos are crimes against children. So just warning that there are two stories coming up with crimes against children. So again,
This program contains subject matter and language that may be disturbing to some viewers. Viewer discretion is advised.
I was muted. So the next two stories are crimes against children. So just fair warning. That's why I played that again. So we have a crime lab forensic scientist and a teacher. So crime lab forensic scientist arrested for child pornography, and then a California teacher fathered a child with a student. Hold on. Hold on, YouTube. I was not ready for you to start that video. I need to get it back on my screen. Thank you.
Breaking news, the Marion County prosecutor charging an employee at the Marion County Crime Lab with charges related to child pornography.
His court hearing it was supposed to start at 9 a.m. This forensic scientist is accused of trading sex videos with his wife in exchange for child pornography. Zach is here now with what you've learned reading through these 16 pages of documents.
Yeah, that's right. And as you mentioned, he was scheduled for a court appearance happening right now in Marion County. This started with a tip from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children and ended with the arrest of 33-year-old Kevin Riley, a forensic scientist with the Indianapolis-Marion County Crime Lab. According to court documents, investigators followed that tip to a profile on Kick Messenger, uploading files of suspected child pornography. Those files, those digital files, showed an adult man engaged in sexual activity with a juvenile females. Other files in the messages showed an adult man and woman engaged in sexual activity. Investigators were able to trace the messages to Kevin Riley. Authorities allege that Riley was trading sex videos with his wife for child porn, and court records indicate that his wife didn't know that the videos were being shared or traded. Fox 59 has confirmed that Riley works for the Indianapolis-Marion County Crime Lab, and his public profile indicates that he is a firearms technician there. Part of a statement from the Crime Lab says, as an agency dedicated to serving the public safety community, we find these allegations profoundly disturbing and disgraceful. They do not align with our core values of integrity, accountability, and ethics. In response, IMCFSA leadership has taken immediate action by suspending Kevin Riley without pay, effective immediately, and removing him from all casework and access to the laboratory. Right now, Riley faces charges, 10 counts in all, including child exploitation and possession of child pornography. The investigation still underway right now, but again, a first court appearance for Riley was set to begin at 9 o'clock this morning. As we mentioned also last hour, there was a photo involved of his hand, a ring, a wedding ring, that was also instrumental in investigators identifying him through that avenue as well.
Yeah, so many people have questions. A lot of people saying this is another police officer, and I have to keep correcting them. He is not law enforcement. This is a person that is a forensic scientist that works for the city in Marion County, right?
Right, and they are still, though, connected to criminal cases and law enforcement, or at least public safety as well. So again, this, in theory, could raise questions about cases he had worked on in the past, with this going on in the background. Don't know that that's the case. It's a big question mark, but the fact that it's a question mark, makes it worth asking the question.
All right, Zach Myers, thanks for following this for us on this breaking news this morning.
A band teacher for an Anaheim junior high school is facing consequences after a woman reveals what she calls a decades-old secret. Teacher Steve Graves is accused of sexual abuse of 2 teenage girls nearly 40 years ago. Fox 11's Christy Fajardo has the story.
Yeah, Susan, the 61-year-old teacher has not been arrested, but he is on administrative leave. And police say that the alleged crimes may be too old to prosecute. But the 2 accusers' attorney says this case really illustrates the power of social media. He says the 2 women met online, and since they started posting their story in just the last few days, they've heard from other potential victims. It's a social media post more than 35 years in the making. The woman, who only wants to be identified as Reiko, shows herself pregnant at 17 by, she says, a teacher in the Anaheim Union High School District, Steve Graves. Now police say they've launched an investigation and have found another victim. And the law firm representing both women says the post has prompted others to also come forward.
There are documents that we are aware exist that indicate supervisors at the school district knew that he was a predator and yet kept him on for the, past 30 plus years.
Graves is now on administrative leave from Lexington Junior High, where he is the band director, and the board says they immediately started the process to fire him. He also taught at Ball Junior High, but the allegations stem back to the late 80s, to his time at Lowara High, when both women were just 16. Reiko's lawyer says she gave birth at 17, had to transfer schools, and later sought child support, adding that a court-ordered test confirmed Graves' paternity.
He fought it. Not only did he fight it, he accused her of being an unwed single mother during the process when he was an adult who impregnated her as an unwed single mother.
The Anaheim Union High School District issued a statement reading in part, "Keeping our students safe is a high priority on all of our campuses. The sexual misconduct revealed in the social media posts is reprehensible. It violates the district's core values and fails to meet the high expectations we have for professional behavior by our staff." The district says they are cooperating with police who are investigating and also have launched their own internal review. As for the 2 women, their attorney says they are hoping for criminal charges, but understand it may be outside the statute of limitations. Nonetheless, they are planning to file a civil suit against Graves and the district. Live in Anaheim, Christy Fajardo, Fox 11 News.
Christy, why now? Why did that information come out now?
Well, the 2 women say that they met online. They connected and realized that they had the same abuser, and that is why they decided to speak out. According to their attorney, they wanted some accountability, and they wanted the word to get out.
Christy Fajardo, thank you very much for your reporting.
I'm glad that he's suspended now, because God knows he's probably still a predator. And the fact that his defense was that the girl was a single unwed mother, that was totally your fault. A teacher where I went to high school actually was let go for relationships with students. He was never charged. And he totally tried to have something with me. It didn't happen, but he was definitely inappropriate with me. And I thought I was the only one, but I definitely was not, because he got caught with another student and he was let go. He was, I think, 27 or something. I can't give too much information because it would be able to figure out who he is, but yeah. Oh, okay, Pokemon. Jeff Mason is my kid's band director. Apparently he was doing some stuff he shouldn't have been doing over there too. So now we're going to talk about scams when it comes to vehicles. And unfortunately, as women, we have to be extra careful when we take our car into service because they think that we don't know anything about our vehicle. That's important to know some stuff with your car, or have somebody, a man that you can trust to call, because unfortunately, that is the society that we live in.
Well, your vehicle seems to be running fine. Technically, it's time for an oil change, but you decide to wait. Consumer reporter John Mattery shows there can be costs to that procrastination in his Don't Waste Your Money report.
So your car is due for an oil change, but your checking account is on fumes. A lot of people might postpone that oil change by a couple thousand miles. Bad idea. Susan Wenger and Kathy Gordon are fans of frequent oil changes.
Oil changed every 3,000 miles.
Tony Edwards knows the importance of rotating the tires.
You get the tires rotated? Every time I get an oil change. I need to look and see what I need.
But certified mechanic Jeff Landrum says he's seeing many people these days now putting off that routine maintenance.
How important are regular oil changes and not missing oil change?
Extremely important today.
Ron says check your manual. Now, if money's tight, it's so easy to postpone that next oil change or brake fluid flush. But by pushing those scheduled maintenance intervals down the road, you could easily end up with a repair that costs much more than the maintenance you would have done.
And you have timing chain issues, you have cam phaser issues, you have all things that are all directly related to that car having too long between oil changes.
Meantime, even if you do get regular oil changes, not saving the receipts can void your extended warranty if the engine breaks down. That happened to Ashley Ziegler.
I just had the oil changed.
Her extended warranty company denied a major engine repair because she didn't have all her oil change receipts.
There was not enough proof of oil changes because we don't always have the oil changes done at the dealership.
Ron says if you're under warranty, get regular oil changes and save those receipts. That way he doesn't have to see you for a major repair. So even if you don't have much money, try to get an oil change. Even a cheapy, quick lube place is better than no oil change at all.
That is not true. Y'all don't go to, you need to go to a trusted mechanic, because I have definitely, oh, they're playing music on the court TV thing. Don't take it to those quick lube places or Walmart. You got to take it to an actual mechanic, because some of those people don't know what they're doing. I actually had one of those. I don't want to say the name because I can't remember the name of it. I can remember the location. This was like 20 years ago. They stripped the screw in my oil pan, and then they put the wrong size screw in. So my oil leaked out, and thankfully we caught it before it completely leaked out. And I have seen other cases where they forget to put the plug in, and all the oil leaks out. So make sure that when you do take your car in, that it's somebody that you can trust. I wouldn't trust those quick lube places because of what happened to me. I find a mechanic that I trust and have them do it. And I do agree that generally you should learn to do yourself. My vehicle, it's not worth doing, because underneath my car I have these two plastic panels that cover the bottom, and I have to remove like 40 screws to get to be able to change my oil, and it costs the same if I pay somebody to do it or if I do it myself, and it's time consuming because I don't have the same tools that the mechanic shop has, and it's a lot quicker for them to remove it at the mechanics. Now, since I've moved, I do need to find a new mechanic. I have not found one yet. But my car doesn't need the oil changed either, so definitely keep your receipts. Anything that you do to your vehicle, have a folder, keep it together, and because any kind of warranty that you have, they're going to look for any which way to not pay it out. So in France, so we're going to move on to France, a couple international stories. You all may or may not have heard of the woman that her husband drugged her and then allowed multiple men to rape her, and he recorded it. So just want to warn you guys, the topic of the next story, and the woman, the wife in this situation, has been outspoken. She has been very strong in this. What a horrible thing to go through. And thankfully, her husband admitted everything. There we go. Tash, you didn't hear about that?
If Giselle Pellico's fortitude has wavered during the trial, this morning may have been another test. Walking into court directly behind some of the men who are reported to have raped her. She appears bold and prepared. The men accused hide. Today, though, the man at the centre of these allegations chose to confess. Dominique Pellico, Mrs. Pellico's ex-husband, is accused of drugging his wife and arranging for at least 50 men, including himself, to rape her.
Today, I maintain that, along with the other men here, I am a rapist. They knew everything. They can't say otherwise.
Many of the men deny the allegations, saying they were manipulated by Mr. Pellico or claiming they believed Mrs. Pellico was consenting. Out food shopping 4 years ago, Dominique Pellico has his phone out. It's in record, opportunistically. But a security guard sees that he's filming under a woman's skirt. It was after this incident that police searched Mr. Pellico's house and found thousands of photos and videos of men engaging in sexual acts with Giselle Pellico while she appears to be unconscious.
He asked his wife to forgive him for all that happened. I don't know what Mrs. Pellico will decide to do with this request. I think we'll go all the way down this trial and we'll know everything about Dominique Pellico.
And here's what we know so far. He met the other defendants on a chat room called Without Her Knowledge. The website has now been shut down. We know 3 of the men came from the same town as Mr. and Mrs. Pellico, and many others from nearby areas in Provence. For over an hour today, Mr. Pellico alleged traumatic childhood experiences, including being raped and abused by a male nurse.
One is not born a pervert. One becomes a pervert.
Mrs. Pellico was given the opportunity to respond shortly after he finished his testimony. It's difficult for me to listen to this. For 50 years, I lived with a man who I would have never imagined could be capable of this. I trusted him completely. Giselle Pellico waived her right to anonymity, a considered move to shift the shame to the accused, her team says. Though the cameras are pointed at one woman here, the trial has galvanized a spirit of sisterhood against sexual abuse. Some of the women here shout, "We're with you," from afar, whilst others feel compelled to bridge the distance.
She is very strong, and the fact that she waived her right to remain anonymous, like, I love that there's people clapping for her. I love it. Someone's walking up to her and giving her flowers. And thank God for that security guard who paid attention and saw what he was doing and recording a woman under her skirt, because if it hadn't been for him, this information may never have been found. So kudos to that security guard. The security guard is the one that helped with that, and I admire her strength. And without her knowledge, that website, those guys can't say that they didn't know, especially if they came from that. That was literally the whole point of that website, was so they didn't know. So how are you going to say that you thought that she was giving consent when you're on a website that doesn't give consent, or is specifically about not getting consent? So I appreciate and love how strong she is, and she is an icon basically for victims of sexual assault, and for her husband to have done that to her for decades. She's very strong, and I admire her for being so strong and being public. It does set a good example for other sexual assault victims, just like Cassie in the Diddy case. If she never spoke up, then the ball would never have gotten rolling. So you are so much powerful than you think you are. Just because something bad happened to you does not mean you're a bad person, and it does not mean it's your fault. So definitely need to remember that. So we're going to move on to Australia. We've seen a lot of news locally about, Venezuelan gangs, or, migrant gangs all over the country. And it looks like Australia is also struggling with similar issues that we are dealing with in the United States. So I'm just going to show a quick video from Australia. It's about 3 minutes long. And if I get the phone call, I'm going to play a longer video, because I don't think I'll be on the phone that long. We'll see. Because I'm waiting for a phone call at 2 p.m. But I don't want to leave you all yet. And I still have the court on. I can hear the music they're playing.
I want to move on now to the issue of these migrant gangs, which we've seen in Aurora, Colorado, and other places. A couple of weeks on this program, we had a report from Aurora about the takeover of apartment blocks and so on. You've written a fantastic piece here about how, though, this gang problem, which has suddenly emerged into the headlines of the last few weeks, this didn't happen just overnight, as so many problems don't. Tell us about the roots of where this all comes from.
So it's been years that these people have been coming across the border, and there have been a range of alarm bells being rung about it. They all have very specific kind of tattoos. Michael Jordan is a very popular tattoo in the gang, clocks, trains, they're identifiable. And the fact is that nothing has been done about it. And you know what really is so hard to get over for a place like Aurora? Aurora is not a sanctuary city. I don't know if you have that in Australia, but in the US, a sanctuary city is where they basically look the other way about illegal immigrants. They don't communicate whatsoever with federal agencies to send illegal immigrants out of the country. They don't have any kind of negative anything about illegal immigrants. They basically welcome them. Places like New York pay them. So Aurora is not a sanctuary city, but it doesn't matter because Denver is right next door and it is a sanctuary city. So these gang members got to Denver where they would be treated very nicely and spilled over into Aurora. And that's the kind of thing that's going to happen everywhere. There's a saying now in America, every town is a border town, and that's really what's going on here.
Fascinating. No, we don't have sanctuary cities. We just have student visas. It's a slightly different thing, but the results are kind of the same. Now, on Thursday, another story, we had a jury find members of the African People's Socialist Party guilty of conspiring to act as foreign agents. The DOJ said that between 2015 and 22, the group, now this is where it gets interesting, acted on behalf of the Russian government and received support as well as money from the president and founder of the anti-globalization movement of Russia group. Tell me about this. This seems like a very curious backdoor foreign interference case. What do you make of it?
This does not surprise me one bit. In the 2016 election, you know, that we've been involved in this thing, this Russiagate conspiracy theory that Democrats have had for the last few years, accusing Donald Trump of basically being, you know, a Russian spy. They have not an iota of evidence, there's absolutely zero. But the only thing that they've kind of identified that Russia actually did do during the 2016 election is that they targeted black voters, black leftist voters, to vote not for Hillary Clinton.
Okay, New York journalist, we're done. Some of your verbiage I'm not feeling. Well, no, we're not doing that. We're not getting into all that. I'm not talking about conspiracy theories. I'm not talking about politics. We're not. I'm surprised to hear some of that verbiage from a New York Post columnist. Yeah. I like that Australia is so fascinated with what's happening in America, but they're experiencing the exact same problems over there. Yeah. Because, like, all right, I'm going to show you a different video in Australia, so it's going to, that way you have an idea of what Australia is also going through. It's the same thing that's happening here. Every country is struggling with crime. So it's not really specific to the United States or migrants and all that. There's a lot of teen violence. There's just a lot of crime all over the world. So let me show you that. Yeah, I'm not gonna have somebody spout conspiracy theories and stuff. I need cold hard facts on my channel. Thank you.
A shocking new video has captured the terrifying crime crisis that's crippling two border towns. Locals sharing the video with 9 News, hoping both state premiers will take action.
This is a snapshot of the escalating youth crime crisis that has two towns on edge. These scenes filmed across the border from Gundawindi in the New South Wales town of Bogabilla. It's raw violence and it plays out in broad daylight in the early afternoon. This is the behaviour that has residents fearing for their safety.
Police are working with one hand tied behind their back.
The leader of the National Party, David Littleproud, has today called for the state government to reintroduce boot camps for youth criminals. He says they're extremely effective.
And if they wanted to make a run for it, they were told to take a bottle of water and just look out for king browns and wild dogs.
But the current Queensland government closed boot camps in 2015 due to cost blowouts.
They worked. We had high success rates. They are more expensive, but we also need the other states to fall in line with us.
When 9 News met the Gundawindi community this week, Mayor Lawrence Springborg raised concerns about police numbers. The Premier's office confirmed there are 18 full-time officers, but the opposition says that's a lie and raised it with Stephen Miles today, alleging whistleblowers say there are only 9.
What does the Premier say to Gundawindi locals for operating their police station at half capacity in the middle of a youth crime crisis?
Half the allotted strength. How have we reached this point in Queensland?
I was advised yesterday that the Police Commissioner had deployed additional policing resources to Gundawindi, including a team from Toowoomba.
The people of Gundawindi wanted the Premier to help them, and it seems that he has listened. Off the back of 9 News' special reports on the unfolding crisis, the Premier today announced he is expediting the appointment of a cross-border commissioner. Whoever is appointed will manage cross-border issues and help Queensland Police work more collaboratively with the New South Wales counterparts. The creation of the role is in response to the community advocacy about challenges faced by Queenslanders living in border communities. I have spoken to the locals, Melissa and Andrew, and they are elated, but they said it's only a small part of what needs to be done.
Thanks, Peter.
More than 10 businesses are counting the cost after a group of masked thieves armed with an axe and in stolen cars caused thousands of dollars worth of damage. Glass doors smashed and cash stolen across 3 Brisbane suburbs.
This is the start of a destructive early morning rampage. Wielding an axe, this person's first move is to lose the camera before attempting to bust through the doors of this Corinda tobacconist.
It's not a nice thing to see, obviously.
Hold on. The court doesn't have audio yet, but that it looks like they're back. So, let's... Oh, Lord. No! Okay, there we go. We got it. Perfect timing, because I need to call, do a phone call real quick. So... Wow. Okay, she went from crying to... well, I guess smiling you can. There's sound, they're back.
I've been told that the jury's reached a verdict as to sentencing. I don't know what the jury's verdict is. As I said before, they didn't ask for the job, and we will not praise their verdict, and we will not condemn their verdict. Any outburst, positive, negative, whatsoever, will be direct contempt of court, and you will serve 30 days in jail for each outburst. If you cannot control your emotions, you should leave the courtroom at this time. Mr. Bailiff, please bring in the jury. I see you're holding paper. Has the jury been able to reach a unanimous verdict? Yes, sir. Please hand that to the bailiff. All right, the verdict appears to be in proper form. Mr. Gregg, if you and your attorneys would come to the podium. The verdicts read as follows. As to count 1, we the jury sentence the defendant Carly Madison Gregg to life imprisonment. As to count 2, we the jury sentence the defendant Carly Madison Gregg to life imprisonment. Please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, just as I did with the verdicts of guilt, not trying to be rude. It's the quickest way we can get it done. As to count 1, we the jury sentence the defendant Carly Madison Gregg to life imprisonment. Ma'am, is that your verdict? Yes, sir. Ma'am, is that your verdict? Yes, sir, is that your verdict? Yes, sir. Ma'am, is that your verdict? Ma'am, is that your verdict? On the back row, sir, is that your verdict? Yes, sir. Sir, is that your verdict? Yes, sir. Ma'am, is that your verdict? Yes, sir. Ma'am, is that your verdict? Sir, is that your verdict? Yes, ma'am, is that your verdict? Ma'am, is that your verdict? Yes, as to count 2, we the jury sentence the defendant Carly Madison Gregg to life imprisonment. On the front row, ma'am, is that your verdict? Yes, sir. Ma'am, is that your verdict? Yes, sir, is that your verdict? Yes, sir. Ma'am, is that your verdict? Ma'am, is that your verdict? On the back row, ma'am, is that your verdict? Yes, sir. Ma'am, is that your verdict? Sir, is that your verdict? Ma'am, is that your verdict? Ma'am, is that your verdict? Yes, sir. Sir, is that your verdict? And sir, is that your verdict? Yes, sir. Verdict appears to be in proper form. Ladies and gentlemen, the jury, please exit. I will be there in just a moment to release you, okay? Everyone remain seated while the jury exits. Ms. Gregg, please come to the podium. Your sentences will be as follows. As to count one, the jury having fixed the verdict at life imprisonment, this court will sentence you to life imprisonment. As to count two, you'll be sentenced to life imprisonment. As to count three, you'll be sentenced to 10 years to serve. You'll be required to pay court cost fees and assessments in the amount of $431.50. Ms. Gregg, regarding any appeal of your judgment of conviction and order of sentence and in accordance with Wright v. State 577, Southern 2nd 387, the court wants to inform you that pursuant to Rule 4E of the Mississippi Rules of Appellate Procedure, the notice of appeal required by Rule 3 of such rules shall be filed with the circuit clerk within 30 days after the date of the denial of any motion for a new trial, or the date of imposition of sentence, whichever is later. Pursuant to Rule 4E, if you make a timely motion under the Mississippi Rules of Criminal Procedure for a judgment of acquittal notwithstanding the verdict of the jury or for a new trial under Rule 25.1, the time for appeal shall run from the entry of the order denying such motion. Finally, Rule 25.1 subsection C provides that a motion for a new trial must be made within 10 days of entry of the judgment, which includes both adjudication of guilt and sentence. Should you make a decision on the record to appeal, that decision will stand unless a written statement to the contrary signed by you and your attorney is filed with the court. Should you make a decision to waive appeal, that decision will stand unless you give written notice to the court and your attorney prior to expiration of the time in which to perfect an appeal. Should no decision to appeal be made by you, your failure to express a desire to appeal shall be considered a waiver of your right to appeal, and that waiver will stand unless you give written notice to the court and to your attorney prior to expiration of the time in which to perfect an appeal. Have you made a decision to appeal your conviction and sentence? All right. Court will be in recess. Sentences will run concurrent.
Right now, we have multiple serial killers operating in the United States, without a doubt.
According to the FBI, those serial killers could be connected to dozens and dozens of unsolved murders.
Investigators are actively working to track them down by focusing in on a specific pool of suspects.
Jessica Schmidt explains what they're doing now to prevent another person from becoming a victim in this story from the Crime Vault.
Oh, yeah. In 2004, after noticing a pattern of murdered women being dumped along interstates, the FBI launched its Highway Serial Killings Initiative. The map you see behind me shows where bodies and remains have been found along highways in 500 cases over the course of 30 years. 20 years later, the FBI's work has led to several arrests and to hundreds of suspects. And today, investigators do believe most of those suspects are long-haul truckers. But they want to make it clear they're focusing in on a very small portion of them, as most truck drivers are innocent, hard workers, like a local man we talked to, Tim Reynolds. Tim Reynolds stepped into the trucking industry 35 years ago. Spending more than 2 decades on the road gave his passion a purpose.
Dad drove truck, grandparents drove truck, mom drives truck. Not only is it a family thing, it's a childhood dream.
Now a CDL training manager at Butler Tech, Reynolds is teaching the next generation how to safely.
So, sorry, now I am off my phone call and I can comment. And I got good news. So now I have some choices to make, but we'll talk more about that offline. I'm not celebrating. I'm not celebrating that a 14-year-old, 15-year-old is going to go to prison for the rest of her life. I just want to make that very clear. I think I feel for her. I feel for the child. She is a child. She did do something horrific. I don't know if she could be rehabilitated, but I don't know how I feel about her going to prison for the rest of her life. I wish that she would have taken the plea deal, because if she took the plea deal, then she would have been out within 20 years. So she would have been younger than I am now. So keeping her in prison for the rest of her life, I don't know if I agree with that. There are teenagers that I have seen that I definitely think should be in prison forever. She did do something horrific, and she does deserve to be held accountable, but I don't know that I am okay with her being in prison for the rest of her life. So it's justice for the victim. It's guilty is the right call. The sentencing, I don't know if I agree with. So definitely not going to be celebrating over here. So, all right, back to the video about serial killers on the highways. Yeah, prison won't get her mental help either. No, they likely won't. They generally force people. They do have mental health services in prison, but not as good as it should be. The justice system is a whole nother mess.
Safely steer a semi. While tough at times, it's a profession Reynolds describes as incredibly important.
If the trucking industry was to stop today, you would be completely out of everything in 3 days. Grocery stores would be empty shelves, gas stations without gas. So this is a constant moving, vital part of, this whole country.
Although the majority of the more than 3 million truckers in the U.S. are hardworking men and women dedicated to keeping the economy moving like Reynolds, the FBI believes there is a dark side to the business, thanks to a very small group of very bad people.
The number one profession for serial killers is long-haul trucker.
Federal investigators believe a handful of serial killers operating as long-haul truckers are likely responsible for 850 murders spread across multiple states and spanning decades. Former FBI Assistant Director Frank Figluzzi says the good news is many of those cases are now solved.
There are 25 long-haul truckers already in prison for multiple murders. There have been cases in the greater Cincinnati and the larger Ohio area.
John Fottenberry was working as a long-haul trucker when he murdered a Milford man in 1991. He He was convicted and executed after investigators discovered he'd gone on a cross-country killing spree. But according to the FBI, there are still around 200 cases considered open and active.
Right now, we have multiple serial killers operating in the United States, without a doubt. The suspect pool for all of those within the trucking community is 450 suspects right now.
Determined to help narrow that down, Figluzzi, now retired, started investigating on his own. He researched, pulled data from the FBI's Highway Serial Killings Initiative, and traveled across the U.S. with the long-haul trucker to experience the lifestyle.
I rode flatbed, which is a different kind of very active physical trucking, with a very gracious driver who tolerated me for over 2,000 miles.
His work led him to a key conclusion. These killers are cold, calculated, and clever.
An 18-wheeler is a mobile crime scene. What do I mean by that? These killers are grabbing their victims in one jurisdiction, killing or raping them in a second jurisdiction, and dumping the body in a third jurisdiction.
The victims targeted by the killers are typically vulnerable women struggling with addiction. Many were sex trafficked before their deaths, Figluzzi says, either recruited online or spotted at truck stops and forced to live a life they couldn't escape. It's those details that add a layer of complexity to these cases.
Most of these remains have no ID on them, whether that's the trafficking victim deliberately not carrying ID or whether that's the trucker taking the ID to make it much harder. Sometimes taking the ID as a souvenir.
Survivors of sexual slavery shared their stories with him to help him better understand what the women being preyed on are going through.
I interviewed one woman who was a preacher's kid. I interviewed another woman who was a brilliant a bookkeeper who had a year of college. Commonalities, very often it's early childhood trauma in the form of unwanted touching. Very often it's early introduction to drug use in the form of marijuana. And then rapidly the drugs get harder as a series of really bad trauma develops in their family environment.
To protect the ongoing investigations, Figluzzi can't reveal details about the list of current suspects or the patterns they've recently uncovered. He did tell us the FBI is using company logs, gas station receipts, and other records to build timelines. And when they can, they're using forensic genealogical DNA.
Only about a tiny fraction of truckers who kill. The rest are family people trying to feed their families by giving us our food on our table.
For dedicated, innocent drivers like Reynolds, the FBI's data isn't just disturbing, it's disappointing.
It gives us, all drivers, a bad image with the general public. So it makes us all look bad. I would love to see them in and spend time behind bars, pay for your crimes, and let life move on.
While investigators work to eliminate suspects and identify the serial killers, Reynolds continues to train groups of aspiring truckers, encouraging them to not let anything deter them from focusing on the road ahead.
Don't drift away from a fantastic career because of somebody who's using the system and, hurting lives and things like that. It's a very rare instance, and it's not a common thing, especially in the trucks and stuff like that.
And it is important to reiterate that federal investigators believe most of the millions of truck drivers on our roads are good people who should not be feared. Figluzzi took everything he learned from the trucker he traveled with, the sex trafficking survivors he spoke with, and his own research and put it into a book called Long Haul: Hunting the Highway Serial Killers. He says he's donating a portion of the book's profits to organizations that help survivors of human trafficking and organizations that support truckers. You can learn more about the FBI's initiative and the Butler Tech trucking program on our website. There we also have some safety tips directly from the FBI. Jessica Schmidt, Fox 19 Now.
You can watch all of our Crime Vault stories on our website or mobile news app. We also have a podcast called Cincinnati's Crime Vault Behind the Broadcast with Jessica Schmidt.
Yeah, when Shay and I drove from Texas to Colorado, on the way back, a truck flipped, and behind us there was a trucker, and he got out and was talking to us. He was super nice, but always weary of strangers and truckers. You never know. Yeah, the book seems interesting. I would definitely check the book out. Let's see, what else do we have? So, a Port Charlotte teenager. So, if you're not familiar with Port Charlotte is in Southwest Florida. It's above Cape Coral and Fort Myers. It's an area that was hit pretty hard with Hurricane Charlie back in the day, and I don't remember what the last hurricane was that hit Florida pretty bad. They also got hit recently. PA has a smiley face killer. I'm not sure if it's the same person. I don't know. I know that there is a smiley face killer. Your uncle's a trucker. He has lots of stories. My roommate runs a warehouse and works with a bunch of truckers. They're all very nice family men. You know, they're just trying to make money for their family, but unfortunately, these serial killers do have jobs that makes it easier for them to prey, and a lot of the victims are sex workers, and a lot of them do get into that work because of addiction, and addiction normally because of trauma. If you look at intervention, if you look at My 600-Pound Life or Hoarders, all of those people have some sort of trauma that happened early on in life. You know, most people don't end up like that just because. All right, so another teen kills their mother. So this one's in Florida, and we just saw the sentencing of Carly Gregg, and that she's going to get life without parole.
I'm Fox 4's Anvar Ruziev here in Port Charlotte in front of the home of Catherine Griffith, a woman who deputies say was murdered by her teenage son on Sunday in Polk County. I did some digging Thursday and got more information about the family's troubled past. Last year, 17-year-old Colin Griffith shot and killed his father on Valentine's Day in Oklahoma. However, those charges of first-degree murder were dropped on the grounds of self-defense. After the shooting, Colin moved in with his mother, who lived in Port Charlotte, but the problems continued.
When he came to live with his mother, you would think things would be better. Guess what happened? He's Baker acted.
Last September, Collier County deputies were called to this home on Astoria Avenue after Colin told his school's officer at FSW that his mother pulled a firearm on him and said she would kill him. The report says she asked Colin to take the gun from her and kill her. Deputies confirmed that the mother had a gun. In the report, the mother also said that Colin had complex post-traumatic stress disorder. She revealed that was because Colin's father, who he shot and killed last year, had held him captive for more than 1,000 days with no human contact. The report says Colin was Baker acted several times after threatening to kill not only his mother, but also his mother's therapist after he was denied his request to go to foster care.
He makes a statement that, well, I'll kill myself or I'll kill my mother by shooting or stabbing her.
Despite the continued threats, another domestic violence incident occurred where records say Colin injured his mother by stomping on her hand and kicking her after he claimed she punched him in the face. A protective order was put in place.
She was disciplining him and took his video game privileges away, so he beat up his mother.
And that led up to the deadly stabbing of Catherine on Sunday. Witnesses at the scene said Colin pulled Catherine into his home by her hair, and detectives say that she was stabbed in the neck. Now, neighbors here tell me they are planning Catherine's funeral on Friday. And as we get more details about the ongoing investigation, you'll be able to find those on air and online at fox4now.com. In Port Charlotte, Anvar Ruziev.
So this kid killed not one, but two of his parents. The first one he was able to claim self-defense. This kid maybe should get life without parole. I don't know. It sounds like he has some serious mental health issues. And for those of you that are not familiar with Baker Act in Florida is 5150 in other areas. Baker Act is when you are a danger to yourself or others and you're committed by law enforcement or a family member. But yeah, this kid I'm scared of. This kid I'm afraid. Of course, you know, Carly had some issues, but not to the extent of this kid. And I saw some of you earlier talking about some medication makes you apathetic and all that. It's true. Some antidepressants, some medication you just feel absolutely nothing. That's why it's important to find the right medicine for you. What works for someone else may not work for you. But I'm going to keep an eye on this case because I'm very curious to see if I would assume he's going to be charged as an adult. I wonder if they're going to change their mind when it comes to it comes to his killing his dad. I think that children are in much more of a mental health crisis than they were 20 years ago. I don't know if it's social media. I don't know if it's the way that we're connected with everybody. I don't know if it's post-pandemic. Everybody's so angry. Everyone is so angry. The children are angry. Being a teenager sucks. I remember being a teenager. You feel all those emotions 1,000 times more, especially if you have, mental health issues, if you've been abused, if you're not in a happy home. So I think that there's more mental health issues in children now than there was before the internet, before social media. I don't know what it is exactly, but we're in a mental health crisis in our country with our children, and we need to make sure that people are getting help and make sure that people that have issues, like this kid, there never should have been anything in the house that he could have done that to his mom. There shouldn't have been knives. There shouldn't be a gun. None of that should be in the household. So, anyway, I had talked about Florida previously. There was a homeowner that decided to cement shut a drainage ditch, and this neighborhood has been dealing with this since April. Their neighborhoods have been flooding because this moronic homeowner literally used concrete to fill up an area that's supposed to drain. Like, imagine this is your neighborhood, and it's taken months and months and months and months and months. But finally, she has been ordered to fix it. She has 7 days.
A lot of relief. Yes, we're grateful.
Neighbors breathing a sigh of relief after a woman who clogged a drainage pipe was given 10 days to fix it. The Shadow Bay community in Longwood has been dealing with flooding because of their neighbors' actions for months now. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Matt Austin.
And I'm Lisa Bell in for Ginger Gadsden. We have shown you flooded streets and fish swimming in the stagnant water due to this issue. We followed the story every step of the way, from when that neighbor first told everyone she'd be filling it with concrete until today, when the judge told her to fix it or else. News 6's Catherine Silver was in the courtroom when the judge told her to get it done.
Right after the judge's ruling, the woman said she's already speaking with an engineer and working to fix this issue. This is the first time we've heard her say that after she admitted to closing off that drain with concrete. After the system was sealed off in April, the Shadow Bay community has seen flooding in the streets and sidewalks throughout the summer with those rainstorms that were known to get often here in Florida. The Homeowners Association had asked a court to intervene, and now an emergency injunction has been granted.
I'm going to order that she repair the system, repair the pipe within the next 10 days.
The judge says there is a threat to the neighborhood because of all of that water. She specifically cited an instance where someone couldn't have oxygen tanks delivered to their home. I spoke to a homeowner and the attorney representing the HOA right after the judge ruled and gave the woman a 10-day deadline to fix it.
I'm so grateful that we've received the temporary injunction. I think things will help a lot.
Wait, was that
I wish it
her?
was sooner, but
Hold on.
we're still
Hold
getting
on.
action,
Was
so
that
that's very
her?
positive.
Let's go back.
Injunction.
Wait.
Line to fix it.
Was this her?
Gave the woman a 10-day deadline to fix it.
I'm so grateful.
No, go back.
HOA
Is
right
that her?
after the judge ruled and gave oxygen
who
tanks
is that?
delivered to their home. I spoke to a homeowner and the attorney representing the HOA right after the judge ruled and gave the woman a 10-day deadline to fix it.
I'm so grateful that we've received the temporary injunction. I think things will help a lot. I wish it was sooner, but we're still getting action, so that's very positive.
It's relief for all these homeowners who have been stressed, they've lost sleep, they're worried about their own safety, so it's major relief for them.
The woman says she did it because the pipe was broken and put on her property without permission and no one would help, so she took action.
Since 2013, that I've been having issues with sinkholes, washouts, erosion.
The bottom line is it's the woman's responsibility to fix this. And the judge ruled if she cannot meet that 10-day deadline, then Seminole County or some other authorized agent can make the repairs. The woman will also have to pay for that. In Seminole County, I'm Catherine Silver, Getting Results, News 6.
Show what she looks
All right, Catherine,
like.
thank you. You can check out the full timeline from when this dispute started to today on clickorlando.com.
I want to see what she looks like. I want to see. I bet she's nuts. Like, because the pipe was broken, call the city, keep calling the city, go to city council. You know, kind of like what your neighbors did to get this fixed. That's what you need to do to get those issues fixed. And trust me, I have dealt with the city being slow and not doing stuff. Hold on, I got a text message. But yeah. Call the city. Call the city. Call, I don't know if they have 311. Call 311. Go to your city council. I have spoken at city council. Go talk to them. Go to your HOA. Go to talk to all these people. It's taken, yeah, since April this has been happening. She literally got a concrete truck and had it filled with concrete. So that it's going to cost her a ton of money to get that fixed. Lindsay, what happened? Has somebody been mean to you? Do you want me to... What happened? Well, I'm glad that you think that we're empathetic and have common sense. I try. And there goes my phone again. I don't know if y'all can hear my text message noises. But, yeah. Alright, next video. Let me see what else I got for today. I'm going to have to get up and clean shortly, but I have a couple more videos to show you guys. So, Seguin is a city in Texas, and Seguin only has one cold case detective, just one.
New tonight, unsolved in Seguin. Tonight we're going behind the scenes with Seguin Police Department's only cold case detective. He's tackling 14 unsolved cases, and tonight I learned about two of them. One, a mother and son shot and killed, and the other, a mother stabbed to death by an intruder.
Tucked inside this office are unsolved cases hoping to see the light of justice. Jaime Diaz is the only detective at Seguin Police that oversees cold cases.
I'm giving the attention they need.
He's got 14 under his belt. The oldest dates back to 1982 to the most recent in 2022. He's only been over the cases for nearly a year. He spends his time going back through all of them to review the evidence.
But looking at every small detail, going back, re-interviewing some of the witnesses, re-interviewing some of the family members that are from the victim's family.
There are two cases Diaz wanted to highlight. The first happened at this home back in March 2010. Investigators say Olga Paz was getting ready for work when she was brutally stabbed by an intruder. Diaz believes the mother didn't know her attacker.
They knew everything about them. All the neighbors did, except no one saw nothing that morning.
At one point, Paz's husband was arrested, but Diaz says the charges were later dropped. He did say that new evidence recently came to light that he is currently reviewing. The second cold case, November 2016, Belinda and Jeremy Salceda, a mother and son, found shot and killed at this home.
We believe that they're truly innocent victims. They were not involved in any criminal activities.
And as the years go by, the leads stop. He believes someone coming forward could break the cases.
San Antonio being so close to Seguin, a lot of the people that live here have friends there, family members there. I think someone know about these cases.
So Diaz says that there are rewards offered in both of these cases. One is set at $15,000, the other at $2,500. If you know anything, call the Guadalupe County Crime Stoppers, the number 1-877-403.
Guadalupe. Guadalupe is my grandmother's name. It is also my cousin's name. It was almost my middle name, but that's a story for another day. I hope that the story getting shared, I hope that the one cold case detective is able to close those cases. I'm going to see, it looks like there's a website with the cases. I'm going to see if we can look into those. I wonder, let me see what the population is in Seguin. Seguin population. So Seguin, the city, has a population of 33,000 people in 2022. It's had steady growth, so I would assume it's probably 35,000 at this point. Oh, it's 37,000. I was close. It's 37,000, so that's not a very big area. So I have met the Gone Cold Texas podcast people. They're very nice. I've met them. Yeah, Seguin I've been to. There's a lot of big like towns that are about 33,000. There's a lot of smaller areas that have grown a lot the last few years. People are getting out of the cities. There's Cibolo, Schertz, New Braunfels, Seguin. These are all cities in the central Texas, beautiful areas to be in. But I'm definitely going to look more into the Seguin cold cases. But yeah, I met the Texas cold case. Oh, do they have a website? I'm going to look more into this later. Oh, yeah, they do. They have a full-on... Okay, I like how they have this set up. Look at this. I'm going to show y'all. Yeah, Shiner is where they make beer and is another smaller city. I do like that. So, like, they have full-on... I don't see other police departments that do that. So this is all the cold cases? That's not bad. They have 1, 2, 3, 4... 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. They only have 14 cold cases. So yeah, I guess they would only need one cold case detective. So yeah, let me put the link in the chat so everyone can look into this if they want to. But I do appreciate how they have this laid out. There's no way that Harris County could do something like that. There's so many cold cases. The only way that you're going to see any of that is when you're on the Crime Stoppers website. So there is the link is in the chat from what I was looking at. So I'm just going to share a couple more videos because I do have to, do some adulting today. I do need to clean. We get kiddo this weekend, and she's going to judge the house if it's dirty. So it's not dirty, but I would like to clean it a little bit. You know how teenagers are. They're extra judgy. So a woman was able to be saved from an attempted kidnapping at an Orlando Walmart. Be careful. You have to pay attention to your surroundings constantly. You never know. It could happen anywhere, even in an Orlando Walmart, at any Walmart. Oh no. Oh no, I hit the wrong button. Oh my God. This reporter needs to chill. That was so loud in my ear. Ah! Hitting the wrong buttons. Yeah, you got to be careful anywhere, because I know somebody that was robbed at Walmart. I know the Kroger that I used to go to was robbed the other day. They hit 3 Krogers, and the one that I used to shop at was one of them. You never know. Anything can happen anywhere at any time. So just be careful all the time.
This video here shows a man fresh off a 20-year prison sentence, still wearing an ankle monitor, trying to kidnap a woman from a Walmart parking lot.
I'm still had my purse around me. And then he starts grabbing the purse, give me your purse. I go, I don't have any cash, I'm not giving you my purse.
Brave lady tonight. That woman who was nearly shoved into her trunk is speaking out about the horrifying moment. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Matt Austin.
And I'm Ginger Gadsden. So she's here able to talk to us because of this woman right here who saw what was happening, and then she jumped in to help. News 6's Tori Campbell spoke with both of them. Their conversation is all new at 11.
The victim tells us she had her car parked here at this Walmart off of Goldenrod Road in Orlando on Labor Day. She was unloading her groceries into her car when she says she felt a man grab her from behind.
And pulled me into him, like, from his arms. First, I thought it was somebody doing a joke on me. You know, I didn't realize what was going on. And then he said, give me your cash. Then I knew, yeah, it wasn't a joke.
Veronica Jones says she's thankful to be alive after Orlando police say this man, 54-year-old Juan Perez, attacked her in an attempt to steal her purse, also charging him with attempted kidnapping. What are your thoughts when you feel him trying to push you into your trunk?
Yeah, he was being very forceful.
Investigators say this surveillance video shows Perez walking up to Jones's vehicle and then attacking her. What is this right here?
Yeah, I don't know exactly what he used, but it was sharp. Okay. He said, you know, I'm going to slice your throat if you don't stop struggling and give me your cash. I just started screaming. He had gloves on his hands, so he shoved his gloved hand down my throat so I wouldn't scream.
That's when another shopper named Elliot says they were driving by and saw the commotion.
But making sure no one was behind me to slam on my brakes and ask, are you okay? She took, I could tell, mustered all of her strength to pull herself out of the trunk to say help. Instant snap, whipped in the car several feet over, not trying to aim for him, but, you know, if I did, whatever.
Elliot says Perez appeared to be moments away from trapping Jones in the trunk before being scared away.
At the time that I passed by, I could just see it. He was successfully about to get because her whole torso was in the trunk. Only sticking out were her legs beyond her knees. Had he just bent them in, slam, done. 5 seconds tops.
Detectives say Perez's probation officer helped track him down. Not only did his PO identify him from the video, but he also confirmed his GPS ankle monitor was in fact at the Walmart during the time of the attack. Investigators add Perez is on active probation after serving nearly 2 decades in prison, following a conviction for kidnapping and assaulting a 14-year-old Marion County girl, who detectives say he shoved in a van before attacking. The latest victim and Good Samaritan, unable to speak in person but reunited over the phone.
I'm so glad you are here. We can hear your voice.
Yeah, I kept thinking about you the whole time. I was like, oh my God, I don't even have a number or a name to thank you because you are like the only person that would stop.
Perez is being held in the Orange County jail without bond. In Orange County, Troy Campbell, Getting Results, News 6.
What perfect timing for that Good Samaritan to be just in that area and know what to do.
I don't know. I swung in there. If I hit him, I don't know.
So be it.
That was the best part of the piece.
But I'm glad Troy got them to speak, even if it were just over the phone.
To each other for the
so
first
that's
time.
fantastic.
Wow, an amazing story. I wanted to know so much more about that after we saw the.
The reporter is right. That was the best part of the story. If I hit him, I wasn't trying to, but and that woman's a badass. Like, shout out to that witness because, a lot of people see stuff, don't want to get involved. They think other people are going to help. And so kudos to her. I feel like she's like ex-military or grew up with brothers or something. Why do they let sex offenders out? There is no rehabilitation. That is a great question. Castration's an option that I think should be used more often. Maybe not surgically, chemically, something. Because you're right, there typically isn't rehabilitation in these cases. Oh, I just realized that I didn't finish the video from Australia because the verdict came in. So let's go back to Australia and see how Australia is dealing with crime too.
Obviously, it's really annoying. They can see that they can't get in. They're just causing inconveniences for us.
Here they left empty-handed, but the 3:40 a.m. smash and dash was one of at least a dozen across 3 suburbs. Next up, Graceville. Honor Avenue's busy restaurant, retail and cafe strip left a shocking mess.
It's devastating, people trying to make a living and
this happens. It's quite shocking in a otherwise quite lovely suburb.
The local convenience store, a new cafe up and running for just weeks, another 2 restaurants around the corner, the dry cleaner, this burger joint and an ice cream shop too. Just a handful of a long list of businesses targeted. Forensic crews will comb every business affected, searching for clues, but already investigators say the same group is responsible. Their crime spree ending in Sherwood, the group using the axe again to ransack a news agency and damage the doors of 2 bottle shops.
They made a mess. They obviously broke the door, smashed a few things inside the shop.
Tonight, those responsible remain on the run. Jacob Chico, 9 News.
So as you can see, Australia is dealing with the same issues that the United States is dealing with. You know, we're seeing all these crazy teens, and then we have one of our friends that's a teacher. So I definitely feel for her in the chat. I hope that the kids behave today. I'm pulling up the website now that's not it. I just had the website. I just had it open. Hold, please. Okay, so the link didn't work, didn't transfer properly, but when I opened it on my phone, it did. Hold on. At least I thought it did. Never mind, I do not have that link for the case. That, I will bring that up later. Sorry, y'all, because it's just taking me to the texas.gov website. So, sorry. Because the link that Dina put in the chat earlier definitely works. So let me see if I can pull it up. Here it is. This is the link. I don't know why the DPS website decided to be weird. Let's see. Let me try typing this in, because I can't click on it in StreamYard. Doesn't let me click. If I was on YouTube, I could, but my computer doesn't like having so many windows open. Okay. Apps / cold case / home / details / 284. Okay, now I got it. Okay. Okay. So this is the case that Lindsay had brought up. Another unsolved homicide. So this is Patty Vaughn. And this happened in 1996. Her husband is a person of interest in this case. There's a few cases, unfortunately, where they don't have the evidence, but they suspect. So, 1604, I know exactly where that is. Patty Vaughn lived in La Verna, Wilson County, Texas. Her husband and 3 children. Vaughn and her husband were in the middle of trial separation, and her husband moved out of their residence. On Christmas, Vaughn met with her. So December 25th, 1996, Vaughn met with her husband at their house in order for her husband to celebrate Christmas with the children. Her intention was to drop the children off of her relatives at a house in San Antonio and see her new boyfriend later that evening. Vaughn and her husband reportedly got into an argument earlier that day. On that Christmas day, her husband indicated that she became upset later in the evening, left the house in her minivan. Her family filed a missing persons report the next day with the Bexar County Sheriff's Office, and her minivan was located off 1604 the same day. Her body has never been located. And Texas Crime Stoppers is offering a reward of $3,000. 1-800-252-TIPS 8, so that's 8477. You can also submit a tip online through the Texas Rangers cold case. That's very sad. It's possible that, I mean, who knows, but it's not, doesn't look good for her husband, that's for sure. And how many times have we heard, got into an argument, the wife left, and we heard that in the case that's about to go to trial too, with they can't find the wife's body in that one either, but they're about to take him to trial. It's a shame they can't do the same with this. All right, so let's see, what else do I have today? So I just have a couple more videos and then we're going to be done. So FBG Duck. So this is Chicago. I'm familiar with FBG Duck because I follow rappers. I follow what's going on in Chicago. I'm familiar with drill music and all that. And I've listened to a bunch of his music. And unfortunately, if you like Chicago rappers, especially drill rappers, they're probably not going to be alive for very long. And that is what happened in this case. He was murdered, and now the witness has been arrested for a police chase, which isn't surprising because we're seeing in the Young Thug trial how ridiculous some of the witnesses are. Let me see. Okay, that the news, they're so much louder than they need to be, just blowing out my eardrums. A police chase through the suburbs, nonetheless. Of course he was going to get caught.
WGN Investigates has exclusive new details, including this body cam footage showing a chase and eventual arrest of a repeat felon in the western suburbs. The man is no stranger to law enforcement. He testified in the high-profile murder trial for Chicago rapper gunned down in the Gulf Coast.
That's right. As investigative reporter Ben Bradley found, a series of arrests and convictions hasn't been enough to keep him off the streets.
Gunfire in the Gold Coast in 2020 created a startling scene. Shell casings next to luxury boutiques. Prosecutors said rival gang members gunned down Carlton Weekly, better known as FBG Duck. This man, Rakeem Wilton, testified at the federal trial, providing insight into a raging war between rival Southside gangs, but refusing to, as he put it, snitch on anyone still alive. Fast forward to West Suburban Hinsdale last week. An officer tried to pull over a car driving erratically at 5 a.m. when the driver fled.
He's all over the roadway. Just smoked the curb.
The driver crashed into an embankment.
Just threw something outside the window. I can't tell what it is. Hands out the window! Hey, put your hands out! Hey, get back in the car! Back in the car! Get back in the car! Foot pursuit over the tracks.
Officers quickly caught up to Wilton.
Stop! 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 Stop!
Once he was cuffed, he clammed up.
What's your first name? I ain't got a name. What do you want me to call you?
Police say they found 2 guns. That, combined with Wilton's criminal history, raises questions. Court records show he pled guilty to conspiracy to commit murder in 2015 and was sentenced to 8 years. He only had to serve half that time. He's also been charged with aggravated unlawful use of a weapon at least 3 times in Cook County. He was convicted once and got a year. Another case was dropped after a judge suppressed evidence. Cook County prosecutors sought detention after the most recent arrest in March, but a judge released him.
My girl good? Your girl's good.
I will. Whatever going on, put it on me. All of Wilton's previous crimes occurred in Cook County. Last week, he was 1 mile into DuPage County when he was arrested. State's Attorney Bob Berlin charged him with a Class X felony, and a DuPage judge ordered him locked up and held until trial. Police aren't sure what Wilton and his girlfriend were doing in Hinsdale at 5 in the morning.
So where is he right now? Locked up?
He's locked up in the DuPage County Jail, but the story draws that distinction between similar crime, unlawful use of a weapon or possession by a felon. In Cook County, you're oftentimes just right back out on the street. In DuPage, they upgrade the charge and you
We've
stay
seen
locked
that
up.
before.
Different laws.
Same law, different approach.
Different approach. There you
Idiot drove 1 mile outside of Cook County and now he's no release from prison. What the heck is that? Did he say Class X felony? I've never heard of Class X. Class X felony. It's an Illinois thing, it looks like. It is the most serious criminal offense. So that county that he got arrested in is not playing. And that is part of the problem with Cook County, is that they do release people over and over and over, especially, with the gun laws. They're not even supposed to have guns there. But yeah, so just so you know, Class X is the worst kind of felony that you can get in Illinois. So that county that he drove into is not playing. So lucky for all of us that he drove into that county like a moron. I do appreciate, though, that he looked out for his girlfriend. He said, "My girl, okay? Anything that's in that car is mine." So, at least he's somewhat of a decent boyfriend, not wanting her to get charged with anything. All right, so we're going to talk about some of the social media school threats. We're going to talk about the South Carolina execution and talk about the Young Thug trial after that. So let me get the school threat video up. And this is happening in every area. This is happening in Kentucky. This is happening in Florida. Kids, stop making school threats. You're going to go to jail. You're going to get in trouble. These aren't jokes. They're not funny. I don't understand why they're doing it, but yeah.
The Pima County Sheriff's Department says the threats were found to be fake, but PCSD says these threats are just the latest of many. 13 News reporter Emily Miranda looks into what students and parents can be doing when it comes to social media and preventing further threats.
When you go to open any social media platform, you can instantly find anything you're looking for across the country. But in recent days, social media has become a hotbed for school threats. Now, while people may think hitting that share button would be helpful, law enforcement says don't ever share a threat on social media.
With one click, a school threat that originated in one part of the country can make its way to other parts in a matter of seconds. Schools across Pima County have been dealing with students posting and reposting these threats on social media. Pima County Sheriff Chris Nano says students need to stop sharing these posts.
It just complicates things for us. It makes that investigative effort that much harder to deal with.
Instead of sharing a post, take a screenshot. And for parents, if your child sees something, call 911 first and not the school.
The real challenge becomes if it's after hours, that school may not get it till the next morning, and that could be too late. You see something, call 911, let us handle it. We'll get a hold of the schools.
Nano says they have worked in partnership with all the school districts in Pima County on threat assessment for the past few years, but says one area they may have failed in this is getting the parents involved. Every parent has a role to play in making sure these threats don't spread.
We don't want you to dismiss it. What we want you to look at is this a threat? And if you have any inkling that it is, or maybe it isn't, don't hesitate, call 911.
Nanos also says the community can rely on school resource officers to stop these threats from spreading.
Once this stuff happens, they immediately network together, share that information, let other schools know what's going on in other schools, let other districts know what's going on in other districts.
Now, districts in the area want to remind students that if you see something, say something. And for parents and students that are in the Marana Unified School District, they have a Speak Up safety tip line, which you can see here on the screen that you can call, text, or email at any time. We will have that number up on KOLD.com. Reporting into...
Yeah, don't make threats. Don't do it. Don't do it. So now we're going to talk about South Carolina and the execution that they have today, that they haven't had any executions in the last 13 years. And Candace, I am so sorry that you guys have been on soft lock all week. Yeah, the teachers are suffering, students are suffering. Don't do that. Don't threaten your own school. Next, maybe.
This week, the state of South Carolina is set to execute its first death row inmate in more than a decade. He was found guilty in the murder of this woman, Irene Graves. And for the first time tonight, we are seeing her face and hearing from her daughter. Miss Graves was killed in 1997 in Greenville County. She was 41 years old, a single mom with 3 kids, working 3 jobs. At the time of her death, her oldest son was away at college, but her 2 youngest were just 11 and 10 years old. And today, we sat down with that 10-year-old, who's now 37. Inslee Graves Lee is a speech pathologist in Rock Hill. She and her husband have 3 beautiful children. She remains close with her brothers, Artie and Jeremy. They're now 45 and 38. Inslee shared these photos with us, emphasizing how close she and her brothers remain after that tragedy, how close they are today. As she says, they all understand the value of hard work, which their mother instilled in them. And she says, even after all these years, processing their grief is a difficult question to answer.
I think it is. I don't know how, I've been able to process it. I think I've kind of taken on we're going to get it done as like basically my mantra, that after you do the hard thing, which was to make it to the funeral or to make it to a custody battle or to make it to a courthouse to meet, the person who's done this thing, I think you just approach it as we just got to get it done. So I think throughout my life, I have just kind of approached all things that have been hard or easy as get it done, just get it done. And I think that that has kind of sustained me. I don't know, as a 10-year-old processing that, there were no words for it. It was hard to just find words or to find actions to the things that I needed to get done, because I would lean on my mom. And not having her, I don't think I ever had, I guess, an opportunity to process. It was just get it done. Get to the next day, to the next moment, to the next year, and to the next thing. I guess if I had to say, how does it feel? I don't think I get the opportunity to live in the moment. I think since then, I've lived in the expectation that I got to get it done.
Now we asked Inslee more about her mom, Irene. Again, she was 41 at the time of her death and was working overnight at her third job. She was a clerk at the old Speedway on Lawrence Road in Greenville. 10-year-old Inslee and her 11-year-old brother were at home asleep. But Inslee says even when she woke up, she knew something wasn't right. And we asked her, what's the one thing she wants everyone to know about her mom?
She loved her kids more than anything in this world. And she never in a million years intended to leave them behind. And even in the unknown of what was going to happen to her, she made sure that she left in her children the plans she had for them. And she left with her children the strength to do it. And we are just fine. She did well.
A new way to stop severe bleeding in seconds has been cleared.
It's so sad. It's so sad. And I definitely agree. Being impacted by homicide, especially so young, I know that I go through life much differently than I did before. I can only imagine what it's like for a child to go through that. It's a lot harder to live in the moment, to enjoy things. It's hard to make future plans and all that stuff. You just, like she said, you just get it done. That's all you can do. So I'm also glad that the video that they showed was more about the victim than the person that took her life. I am going to keep an eye out for any updates on that execution, and it does end up hardening you in a way. I look at the world much differently than I used to. It's a much more scary world, a much more violent world. I see many more danger than I used to, for sure. And some people would consider it paranoid, but I do take a lot of safety steps to ensure that something like that doesn't happen again in my life. But some positive news. The FDA has cleared a way to stop severe bleeding, which is definitely something that we need everywhere. Ambulances need it. We need it with the heart shocker things. I can't remember what they are. Those machines that are on the wall, those need to be everywhere. Because a lot of times when people are shot or stabbed, they die very quickly due to blood loss.
A new way to stop severe bleeding in seconds has been cleared by the FDA.
CBS News Philadelphia's health reporter Stephanie Saul joins us to explain how this works. This is amazing.
It is amazing and very interesting. And wait till you hear what it's made out of. This is very interesting. It is a new gel that is made from algae, and some say the technology could transform trauma care.
And this line is sized to produce about 250,000 syringes on a monthly basis.
What's happening here at this biomanufacturing facility could be a matter of life and death. Inside these syringes, a new potentially life-saving gel that can stop severe bleeding in seconds. It's called trauma gel.
One syringe will be enough to treat just about the largest bleed that you can imagine. Gunshot wounds, stabbings, motor vehicle accidents.
The inventor started the company out of his dorm room in 2010 when the young scientist stumbled on a gel that stuck to his skin.
I had this idea that what if you took that gel and put it into a bleeding bullet wound to get a patient from point A to point B without them bleeding out.
The gel is made from algae and has the consistency of hummus. Once it comes into contact with a wound, it forms a mechanical barrier against bleeding, and no manual pressure is required. Blood loss in traumatic wounds is responsible for more than 35% of all pre-hospital deaths.
A product like this that's able to stop bleeding quickly and effectively can save countless lives.
Trauma Gel is the company's second FDA clearance. It already has a gel to treat minor cuts and scrapes and a veterinary gel for pets. Federal go-ahead for this new product is based on preclinical data. It's expected to be rolled out to hospitals and EMS teams later this year and start saving lives. And the gel is expected next to be used on battlefields, and the company is also working to determine if it can help with traumatic brain injuries. In a dorm room, it starts with algae.
Oh
Talk about a super brain thinking of that, right?
All the time I wasted in college, I should have.
I know, it was.
That's a smart person. Started it in college and with algae. That's crazy. Also, kill spotted lanternflies if you see it and call somebody about it. Oh, I was going to move on, but I almost forgot about this video. A woman attacked a 14-year-old kid in IHOP. This is in South Florida. Okay, I swear, I'm going to finish videos eventually.
Now to a story you'll see only on 6. A late-night dinner ruined after chaos broke out at an IHOP in North Miami Beach.
A woman was caught on video attacking a 14-year-old customer, and now she's charged for abusing a child.
NBC6 reporter Christian Colon joins us with the story you'll see only on 6.
Chaos at IHOP. Video shows the moment customers attacked each other with syrup bottles. Others slammed in between dinner tables to try and land a punch.
My son say you want to, you said something. You just okay, and I got 4.
The massive brawl broke out between two families after police say Precious Williams accused a 14-year-old customer and her family of, quote, talking badly. Suddenly, police say Williams attacked the teen. Williams was arrested and charged for abusing that teen.
I'm telling you right now, don't make a scene when you come outside. Your kids are right there. Please.
I love my kids. Okay. I never fight or anything.
Okay, just all I ask is you please don't make a scene once you step foot outside, because that's not fair to them.
No, I know that's not fair.
However, Williams is claiming her innocence. She says someone in the teen's table called her small children a racial slur. Consequently, she confronted the 14-year-old who pushed Williams first.
There is video. The video shows somebody putting their hands on my client, Ms. Williams, and then Ms. Williams striking back.
State attorneys offered Williams a deal of 1-year probation with a few courses like anger management, but the 34-year-old denied and demanded a trial.
You want to go to a trial, so you're rejecting their offer. You got to answer out loud. Yes. Okay, so by rejecting their offer, that means it's no longer on the table. You are now looking at a maximum exposure of up to 5 years state prison with an adjudication as a convicted felon. Do you understand that? You got to answer out loud. Okay, ma'am. All right, thank you very much.
And state attorneys say they will not make any more offers. Williams now hopes to convince future jurors that she was the true victim, but now she faces up to 5 years in prison if she's convicted. A trial date has not been scheduled.
Dumbass. I'm sorry. You don't hit a kid even if they push you. Like, even if they did what you said, the no jury is going to be like, yeah, that's fine. That's totally fine. Yeah, do that. No, no one's going to be okay with that. All right, so let me see what else. Yeah, that's definitely like some, yeah, that's Waffle House behavior. How dare they? Take that to Waffle House. All right, so moving out of South Florida and moving on to Oklahoma, a hate crime is under investigation.
Police are investigating a fight on Campus Corner that ended with a man in the hospital. He now has a long recovery after he was released from the hospital with a brain bleed.
News 4's Sydney Batzloff spoke with the victim, who believes it was motivated by racial hate.
A night of fun turns violent outside of this Hideaway Pizza. A Norman man now recovering after he says he was nearly beaten half to death.
I thought he was gonna die. I really thought he was gonna die.
Harrison Hipp and his girlfriend Emily together early Sunday morning on Campus Corner. It all started with the man asking Hipp for his cowboy hat.
Said, no, this is my hat, I'm sorry. And I was polite about it. I said, sorry.
Hipp says that's when the man and his friends became aggressive.
And I take off the hat and yarmulke and I start running. And then he chases me and he says, I'm going to get you, you dirty Jew. And I'm like panicking at this point because I know I'm going to get jumped,
He says the group slammed his head against the concrete over and over again. His girlfriend also caught up in the fight.
So I start trying to pull the original guy off of him, and then I get thrown off of him, and then a guy grabs my arms, is like holding my arms, so I can't do anything.
Hipp says the group left him bloody in the street. The next thing he remembers, waking up in the hospital with a concussion and a brain bleed. A 911 call alerted police to the attack, but when they arrived, they couldn't find Hipp. Officers later caught up to him in the emergency room. Hipp believes this is a hate crime.
I would just like to see anybody attack me, because everybody that attacked me called me a dirty Jew, so that I would like them all be charged with hate crime.
In Norman, Sydney Batzloff, Oklahoma's News 4.
All right, Sydney, thank you. Now, police say so far no arrests have been made. However, a possible suspect has been identified. As for the attack being a possible hate crime, well, Norman police say that is part of the investigation.
So they are looking into it as a hate crime. That was a very interesting looking couple. I feel bad for him. I feel horrible for him. Anybody that mobs and attacks people and jumps on one person as a group, you're a pussy. Don't jump people. That's bullshit. If you're big, tough, and strong, then fight people one-on-one. And don't fight somebody that doesn't want to fight you over a stupid hat. Don't do that. All right. So I got one more crime video. We're going to do one more crime video and then one happy video to end it. So the Needham police are looking for a victim of an acupuncturist. So I want to share this story. So if there are any victims out there, contact police.
Let's get to this developing story in Needham. An acupuncturist, he's been arrested. He's accused of indecently assaulting a client.
And to make matters worse, in this case, he was unlicensed when the alleged act happened, and there may be more victims out there. So let's bring NBC 10's Oscar Margain live in Needham. Oscar, police are asking this man's clients to just come forward in this.
That's right, LaToya, and the whole worry here is that this man allegedly has continued to practice for 2 years, so there's really no telling how many more people that have been treated by this man may have been violated. Now, this is the person I'm referring to. You're seeing him right here. His name is Chung Hao Chang. You see him in a 2019 video when he faced similar charges for indecent assault and battery at his Boston clinic. Now, 3 years later, the Massachusetts Board of Registration in Medicine Wisconsin revoked Jung's acupuncture license. Now, fast forward to this last Friday when police served Jung an arrest warrant at his Needham home after another patient accused the 56-year-old of sexual assault while at his Needham location on Highland Ave. Now, we spoke to the former president of public policy for the American Society of Acupuncturists, who says that this is a license enforcement issue.
It's deeply saddening to see anyone who is a medical provider be arrested and lose their license due to boundary violations and putting their patients in a compromised position.
Now, police are needing help from Jung's patients. Anybody who believes they may have fallen victim of this man to come forward and give them a call. Reporting live in Needham, Oscar Margain.
Hopefully there are no more victims, but we know that that's probably not the case. All right. So last video of the day. Let me find it. I don't know if you guys have seen the viral sensation that is Muding. Muding is the cutest thing, and I love seeing her all over social media. And apparently her name means elastic pork. So we got 2 minutes and 40 seconds of this adorable little baby hippo, and then we're going to get out of here because I got shit to clean. Literally, I got to do the litter box before kiddo gets here.
With her rosy cheeks and those squishy rolls, Muding is not your average.
I need to restart that. We need to see
With her
that.
rosy cheeks and those squishy rolls, Muding is not your average cute baby. The 2-month-old pygmy hippopotamus born at a zoo in Thailand is so next level adorable. She's quickly become an internet sensation with millions of followers who can't get enough. Maybe it's the toothless Chewy, her clumsy bath time, or that dewy look. Whatever it is, the zoo's videos of how Muding spends her days have gone viral. When her flubber shakes, it's so cute, this tourist says. Muding's name translates roughly to bouncing pig or pork patty. The obsession isn't only online. Real-life attendance at the zoo has skyrocketed too. Unfortunately, the craze is raising safety concerns that people are harassing the baby hippo to get her attention. Officials are now imposing crowd controls and 5-minute time limits. This phenomenon is beyond our expectations, says the zoo's director of what he calls Muding fever. Pygmy hippos are native to West Africa and are classified as endangered, with only 2,000 or so remaining in the wild. So the birth of a baby in captivity is an event. For this it girl, there's already merchandise, branding, and a makeup ad. From sports events to the Empire State Building, Muding seems to be everywhere. An unlikely icon wiggling her way to stardom. Of course, people have been flocking to the zoo to see Muding for real. But if you can't manage the flight to Thailand right now, you can find her online to track the bouncing around, when she gets new teeth, and all the latest facial expressions on any of her official accounts. Guys,
oh my God, Janice, she's so cute, right, everybody?
Yeah.
She's cute adjacent. She's cute. Wait, is she going to get to be a full-sized hippo, or does pygmy mean she's going to stay itty-bitty like she is?
Oh, she'll be itty-bitty, maybe 500 pounds.
Oh, that kind. Whoa. A
lot of flubber.
Oh, I like that word, flubber.
Flubber, I
that
do
was
too.
so good. All right, Janice, thank you.
I can connect to that. All right.
My favorite line
That's
of the day
cute.
is cute adjacent.
Yeah. Would you repeat?
I
get
agree. Hey, thanks for watching. Don't miss the Today Show every weekday.
Cute adjacent. I don't know if you guys can hear my cat purring. But she's purring very little. I mean, very loud. I said, thinking about the hippo. So yes, this is Addie. This is my cat. Also very cute. But yeah, that hippo makes me very happy, and I love that hippo so much. There's a shirt that looks like, you know, those 90s hip hop shirts that has pictures of her, and I want one so bad. Definitely gonna look into getting one of those. And then somebody made like a fake thing of Dolly Parton singing, like at the tune of Jolene. Say, but moo ding. I'm not gonna sing. But yeah. Anyway, so that is it for today. I will see you guys again next week. I might even get on Kick this weekend. We'll see. If you're not following me on social media, I would definitely give me a follow. That way you'll know if I'm going to be streaming, or follow me on Kick, and then you'll get the notification if I go live this weekend. I'm thinking maybe doing Love After Lockup on Sunday again. We have a lot of catching up to do. I hope everybody has a beautiful weekend. I hope I have to go clean 2 litter boxes and do the dishes. We get kiddo in 2.5 hours. There is my link tree if you're not following me. We both put it at the same time. Thank you, Dina. I love you all. I hope everybody has a beautiful weekend. And Tash, I hope you get home safely and quickly. And I will see you guys again soon. Bye, y'all.